Yes, indeed, our focus and all our eyes and the eyes of the country are in Emurua Dikirr this morning, 14th of May 2026, for the Emurua Dikirr constituency by-election. The candidates are there on your screens: Vincent Rotich of DCP, David Kipsang of UDA, Desma Cheron of PNU, Koech Gideon of NVP, and Rotich Kiprono of PNP. Hapo nini kidogo lakini tunaelewa. RLP.
RLP.
Yes, indeed, the voting today is in 3 electoral areas, Emurua Dikirr for the constituency level, but there are other contests in Poro Ward in Samburu County and Endo Ward in Elgeyo Marakwet County for the Member of County Assembly as well. Polling stations have already opened in all the 3 areas and will remain open till 5 p.m. this evening for members of the public to cast their ballot. So yes, indeed, a big day indeed here. This is TV47 Breakfast. Karibu sana. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.
My name is Annie Odid, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with everything happening in Emurua Dikirr later on in the course of this broadcast. Today, being the 14th of May, it's Online Romance Day. So tafuta mpenzi
Online.
Lakini be careful while you're at it.
Mr. Ki online huwa wanajifanya ati
Yes.
ni wa ile agenda, kumbe sio.
Lakini ile agenda umeattack. Jana you attacked it, today you are still attacking it.
Sina ubaya.
You have to clarify that. But before we tell you what's of course in store for you as regards Emurua Dikirr, is also World Orienteering Day. Wanasema at least use maps to navigate wherever you're going. Hata ukiwa kwa forest, make use of your maps. So this is what this day is about. Emurua Dikirr, turudishe huko? Yes,
but before that, even the IEBC has issued a number of advisories in relation to preparedness for today's by-elections. And kama kawaida, polling stations have opened already at 6 a.m. There will be strict biometric voter verification using integrated KIMS kits. Voters have been warned against photography and ballots. Kuna wale walikuwa wanasema ati utaenda na mobile phone. Na amesema hapa no one is allowed to take pictures of ballot papers in the polling booth. Doing so constitutes an election offense under section 73E of the Elections Offences Act. So chunga sana usijaribu mambo kama hayo.
Kuna fine kubwa sana.
Yes. Kwanza acha nikwambie, the offense is punishable by a fine not exceeding 1 million shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or both. Maybe uko na pesa unafikiria utanini, unaweza enda jela pia. Meanwhile, results portal goes live after polls close at 5 p.m. tonight, this evening, hoping that many people will have actually cast their ballots. But because it's a by-election, they don't expect it to take longer than 5 p.m. Accreditation of agents will be conducted within polling stations. They've also talked about security arrangements and just mentioned about results management. After the closing of polls at 5 p.m., the presiding officer, in full view of agents and observers and the media, will open the ballot box, count the ballots, and tabulate the results at the polling station in an open and transparent manner. Yes.
94 polling stations? Ama ngapi?
94 ni nyingi, lakini sijui ngapi kule.
I read somewhere it's 94.
Wapi Emurua Dikirr?
I think so. You've mentioned
it is possible.
areas.
It is possible, yes, because it's at constituency level.
Yes.
But we'll establish that once we get our people on the ground. Naitwa Sydney Chazema.
Kabisa.
Atakuwa natupatia what is happening on the ground.
Right.
Yes.
All right, I want us to take a look at the state of the weather at this point, but let's see what the Kenya Met Department has told us as regards forecast for the next 5 days. That rainfall is expected to continue in the highlands east and west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, the Rift Valley and some parts of the coast, and of course the northwestern Kenya. That heavy rainfall events may occur in some parts of highlands east and west of the Rift Valley as well, and the Lake Victoria Basin and the Rift Valley. So let's take a look at the state of the weather at this point. It's a partly sunny day in Kilifi today. Highs of 31 degrees expected in that county. This morning it's 27 degrees. Kericho, there's thunders na pia ni showers na thunders. Have you ever had anything like that? Thunderstorms
and thunderstorms.
Interesting. So Kericho this morning is 14 degrees, highs of 22 degrees expected in Kericho today. Thunders and showers. But Nyeri, there's thunderstorms. So 16 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees expected in Nyeri County today. As far as Kericho, Kilifi and Nyeri are concerned, Wajir, it's a partly sunny day. It's very hot. This morning it's 25 degrees, highs of 35 degrees expected in Wajir County today. Kakamega, it's raining this morning and it's 18 degrees. Highs of 25 degrees expected. Nairobi, there will be thunderstorms later on in the day today. This morning it's 17 degrees, highs of 25 degrees, and that's the state of the weather. All right, now let's come back and take a look at the quote of the day.
Life is not meant to be flawless. Its beauty lies in its messiness, surprises, and the authenticity found in every imperfect living moment.
Yes, indeed, we've confirmed that it is indeed 94 polling stations in Emurua Dikirr. There are about 42 in Endoward in Elgeyo Marakwet and 16 in Poroward in Samburu County. So that's almost 130, 150 polling stations.
Yeah.
Quite a busy day for those different areas, but our focus will be on Emurua Dikirr constituency.
Absolutely. I want us to cross over now to China.
Oh, yes.
World leaders, China leaders, and of course the US President Donald Trump are meeting there for some talks.
Yes, indeed. A state visit that began yesterday and will continue till tomorrow. That's a 3-day state visit by Donald Trump to China. This is huge. You know, Donald Trump is not necessarily a fan of China. Lakini sasa ameenda huko na wataongea kuhusu Strait of Hormuz because they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Donald Trump will be looking for help from China to actually ensure that the Strait of Hormuz remains open because the crisis in the Middle East is getting tricky, even for him. Yes, they'll also be discussing geopolitical tensions, Taiwan and arms sales, of course, trade and economic issues as well. Remember, between US and China, they share the biggest trade.
Yeah.
Just between the two countries. Lakini wapendani sana.
Compare?
Compare safi. So these are two world leaders of big powerhouses. These are superpowers. Ile power munatafuta hao wako nayo.
Hao sasa ndo wako nayo sasa.
Hao wako na power. All right, let's listen into what's Donald Trump and his host had to say about each other.
Interests of the well-being of our two peoples and the future of humanity build a brighter future together for our bilateral relations. These are the questions vital to history, to the world, and to the people. They are the questions of our times that you and I need to answer as leaders of major countries. This year is the 250th anniversary of American independence. Congratulations to you and to the American people. I always believe that our two countries have more common interests than differences. Success in one is an opportunity for the other, and a stable bilateral relationship is good for the world. China and the United States both stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. We should be partners, not rivals. We should help each other succeed and prosper together and find the right way for major countries to get along well with each other in the new era. Mr. President, I look forward to our discussion on major issues important to our two countries and the world, and working together with you to set the course for and steer the giant ship of China-US relations so as to make 2026 a historic landmark year that opens up a new chapter in China-US relations. I will pause here and hand over to you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few have ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had. And that's, to me, an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you, and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them, we asked the top 30 in the world, every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business. And it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else. But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, it's very interesting to hear a meeting of equals, because they consider themselves equals.
Yeah.
It's a summit between those two sides. Of course, Trump is there for a state visit from yesterday till tomorrow. But then again, if you compare with the Africa Forward summits, now this is how bilateral discussions should be. Equals. You speak, I speak.
Yeah.
But the Africa Forward summit is one leader comes and then
Decide.
30 African leaders come and sit down and they listen to him. Yeah. That's the difference between them and us.
Yeah, we need to learn.
We need to. But then again, I think Trump should consider sticking to written scripts.
Why? When amesema people
Ameenda
don't like
kaongea
me
kuhusu
saying it, but I'll
watoto,
say
I
it.
like you, I know you like me. Now what is that? But anyway, hiyo ni
That's
yao.
what makes Trump Trump.
Hiyo ni yao. Hapa tuna deal na hugs na handshakes. And anyway, it's very interesting. Matters US-China relations, and this is huge.
Yeah.
And as Donald Trump said correctly, I'm sure everybody in America is talking about it. Because two superpowers meeting, then something is definitely cooking. Kidogo kidogo utaona Trump and Putin are meeting. Ujue mambo basi, sasa imeanza kukua mambo ingine.
Yes.
Yes. Watoto Trump amesema wanakaa vizuri sana, and our director Emmanuel Inonda ule wa Man U ana agree. Watoto wanakaa vizuri.
Ni ukweli.
Lakini unajua wote
Kweli
wanafanana.
wanakaa vizuri.
Nafikiri wote wanafanana.
Watoto.
Ndio maana wanakaa ni kama tu duplicate.
Yes. Twins and all. Kila mtu ako na look alike.
Yes.
All right, that's what happening in Beijing, China. Kesho pia tutawaambia watazungumzia nini hapo. Wamesema wanazungumzia matters trade among other things. Pia agriculture pale. Wanazungumzia.
Yeah.
Let's come back and take a look now at local dailies and regional dailies.
All right, and we go straight to matters Emurua Dikirr by-election, and the Daily Nation has it as a front-page main story under the headline, Showdown. So they say Ruto Gachagua parties clash in Emurua Dikirr. 5 candidates are vying for the seat, with PNU, NVP and RLP also fielding candidates, but the discussion is just about Ruto and Gachagua's parties. So under the headline Showdown, they have the 2 candidates, and the former MP Yohana Ngeno, the area MP since 2013, who died in a helicopter crash in February, occasioning this by-election. For the UDA party, we have David Keter. He's a three-time opponent of Ngeno, won UDA's nomination narrowly, polling 13,749 votes against his challengers 13,394. That's how close. Yeah. The party primaries were in Emurua Dikirr. DCP, meanwhile, their candidate is Vincent Rotich. DCP handed the former MC a direct ticket, hoping to win a second seat in Nairobi County after recent Nairobi Town ward seat victory. Yes, nakumbuka alipata ile MCA Nairobi Town, sasa ni DCP. And I think that really pushed them towards thinking that, yeah, hii ingine hapa karibu tunaweza pata. Yeah. So the number of registered voters in Emurua Dikirr are 44,457. And I mean, depending on the turnout, this could actually be a decisive poll. Head-to-head, the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, has won 5 of the 8 recent parliamentary by-elections, the other 3 being secured by ODM, its broad-based government partner. But the bid by President William Ruto's party to recapture the Emurua Dikirr constituency seat in today's by-election faces the fiercest competition yet from the Democracy for Citizens Party, DCP, of his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua, who will prevail in this battle of the titans. Who will? That's the question they're asking. And UDA have been very confident all along about their prospects in Emurua Dikirr. And they must be shocked that DCP is even being considered a proper competitor. And the fact that it's been given this kind of prominence. Probably they would have thought, okay, fine, any other party, not DCP, in a predominantly UDA region. But the politics of Maasai land and anyone close there is really changing. Yeah, so Nairobi County, mambo yao ni ngumu.
Is it really changing? Because I've seen this conversation that it's only one family that is dominating, especially the Maasai land. Do
you know that for the longest time, ODM has had a very strong foot in Narok? And now DCP has a member of county assembly in Narok town. That's definitely changing. Right now, we're not even talking about ODM. Of course, Emurua Dikirr is a different bowl of soup altogether. Hillary Ngeno, not Hillary, Yohana Ngeno, at some point had his own party. He wasn't going with the main party of the region. And he still won. So definitely something to look forward to. And we'll be here to bring you all that. SHA report shows what is ailing Kenyans. Now, SHA has come up with a report. Wanataka kusema ni magonjwa gani wanatibu zaidi. Where is the money going? Yeah? Where is the money going? Na hii mambo ya technology inafanyia. Tuende tu ile physical, which is much easier than technology. More than 1 in every 5 claims filed by the Social Health Authority by hospitals across the country is for a respiratory condition. Yeah. Kenyans are seeking treatment mostly for coughs, stomach problems, and fever. But chronic diseases take the largest share of spending despite fewer claims. They even have a graph here. Respiratory diseases lead, followed by digestive disorders, watu wanaumwa na tumbo, infectious diseases, maternal and obstetric follow, musculoskeletal. Hiyo nyingine hata tujui ni gani. Cardiovascular diseases follow, injuries and trauma, ingine hapo genitourinary, there's renal issues, neoplasms, endocrine, diabetes and others. Even cancer is huko chini, but they're saying those ones are not the highest reported, but they consume most of the money in SHA. But the most reported, respiratory diseases. Watu wa kohoa na maswala ya homa na maswala mengine kama hayo. Yes, so that's the other story. And those are the only 2 stories there. 30,000 teachers set for promotions. That's a highlight. There's the main story on page 10 of this paper. Ukiangalia inside pages, sio mambo mengi sana. Elections, kuna Gen Z's innovation to independently tally 2027 results. That's something on page 3, and it could actually be a game changer. Young developers say the new system will address discrepancies between results announced at polling stations and those declared at the National Tallying Center.
So wakihesabu wanahesabu.
Ile mkihesabu tunahesabu, mkihesabu tunahesabu. Wamesema discrepancy, wataangalia ile mambo ya discrepancy. Isikue hapo. But will they be allowed to operate? Well, we have to wait and see. Oburu steps up to end Barasa Oparanya feud is another story, political story. Study shows more boys than girls are dropping out of school.
More boys than girls?
More boys than girls. Unajua tulikuwa nasema ati young girls, especially teenage girls, with the issue of teenage pregnancy, ati on a drop out. No, more boys are actually dropping out. That's a story on page 10. You can read it for yourself. On the back page, Matter Sports. FKF Premier League, 17 and counting. Why Bandari are the new kings of draws. They've drawn 17 times. Wow. And Matters Athletics, Serem leads Kenya's hunt for elusive men's steeplechase gold at the African Athletics Championships. That's the Daily Nation.
All right, Taifa leo, same headline. Nani atatamba leo? Ni swali wanauliza hapo. Wakazi wa eneo bunge la Emurua Dikirr, Narok, waelekea katika vituo vya kupiga kura leo, lakini macho yote yanaelekezwa kwa Rais Ruto na aliyekuwa naibu wake Rigathi Gachagua. Chama cha rais cha UDA kinakamia kuhifadhi kiti cha Emurua Dikirr, DCP nayo ikilenga kutoa kiti cha kwanza. I think this is where we go wrong, because we have other candidates who I think maybe residents of Emurua Dikirr may think that are very qualified to lead them and take it up from where Johanna Ngeno left it from. Because you remember, issues that were affecting Emurua Dikirr, issues of land and how Johanna Ngeno was so loud about these issues. Then if we narrow this down now to party politics, DCP and UDA, then where does this leave Des Macheron of PNU, Koech Gideon of NVP, and Rotich Kipron of RLP?
Well, I think media is also allowed to do an analysis of probably the strongest candidates.
Yeah.
Even sometimes even in the US, there are candidates from, I don't know, younger green, something green or some green something.
Yeah.
But we rarely get to hear about them. Yeah, because the two strongest candidates, they must have done a survey here and they know that what on the ground wanasema this is a two-horse race. But it doesn't mean it can't go any other way.
Yeah.
It could actually go and upate mtu kama Rotich Kiprono or Des Macherono or Gideon Koech of the other parties emerge victorious. But I think the parties are just doing something they always do, is looking at the trends and reporting on the same.
Yes, because hawa wengine wanaweza to surprise kweli.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So that's a story that has been captured on page 2 of Taifa Leo. Vidokezo zaidi, vyeti bandia wakuu sasa waandamwa, magavana wa bunge wamulikwa na EACC kwa kutumia vyeti vya kugushi. Surely, see, these things was done even before 2022 general election.
We were talking about fake degrees. Na tunajua ni watu gani, lakini ijaifika mahali.
Ijaifika, so what are they doing now? I'm ahead of next year's election.
I'm sure that debate will be, someone will just revive the debate as we get closer to elections. Ni nani akona degree gushi?
Mbadi yalenga kuwa kigogo wa Nyanza. Majuzi alitwazwa mlezi wa baraza la Waluo Nairobi, hivyo kuwa na usemi katika jamii hiyo. Na manda alikuwa anakuia mwingine mkali.
Alikuwa anauliza where is that baba? Where is that baba?
Alitawazwa, nimesema alifanywa nini? Jamani, Kiswahili sio mdomo changu. Lakini alitawazwa, right. Ati ulikuwa unasema vipi? Alifanya nini?
Alisema where is that baba? Watu wamekasirika sana online, hujasikia?
Masala ya SA pia imezungumziwa hapa. Ramaphosa hapumui kuhusu shilingi milioni 74. Rais wa Afrika Kusini akabiliwa na sakata ya ufisadi maarufu kama Farmgate. Kule juu zaidi, hofu sukari hatari imo madukani. Sukari iliyoletwa kwa matumizi ya viwandani yahofiwa kuuziwa wananchi. Na vilevile masala ya spoti pia, watetea VAR kufuta bao la West Ham. Ushindi dhidi ya West Ham uliweka Arsenal pazuri kutoa taji la EPL. Taifa Leo.
All right. And interestingly, Rigathi Gachagua features on another front page here. Ruto's mystery calls is about the ongoing case in court. President William Ruto's name was yesterday drawn into two separate but unsettling narratives where doctors and political power intersected through phone calls that ended in controversy and loss. In the matters involving the late Dr. Jobo Buaka and cardiologist Dr. Daniel Gikonyo, there were claims of direct or indirect presidential contact during moments of intense political pressure, raising questions about undue influence. Though unrelated in outcome, the accounts converge in a troubling pattern of power reaching into medical and custodial spaces with consequences that are still being debated. This story is on page 2 and 4, and this is a bit worrying. That Nasikia hapa the widow of Dr. Job Obwaka Everos Chemutai anasema things changed along the way and they called the office of the president and he was ordered to withdraw a case in court he had filed. That's one instance they say the president made a call.
Yeah.
Or the president was involved in a call.
Yeah.
Yeah? And hii kasi ingine iko kotini. Dr. Daniel Gikonyo, a cardiologist, says, I must be honest enough to specify that I did receive a call from our president asking about the status of the patient regarding Gachagua, and I responded accordingly. So this story is on page 2 and 4. Read it for yourself. Isisemekane, alisema, hakusema. It's just a report on the front page of the Standard, and it's the only story on the front page. This paper still talks about the Africa Forward Summit that drew to a close, but it focuses on the performances. Ile Biena Limba wa Tati. Alafu uliona Sultan 001. Alikuwa anaimba kweli kweli. Anajua anatoaje Hassan Joho, the CS Mining.
Yes.
Anajua hiyo wimbo word for word. Watati mpaka kuna dance styles. Mimi sijui zote lakini najua tu pale kwa
finally.
Bilinia Ali.
This was at the concert on Tuesday night.
Yes, at the very end of the Africa Forward Summit. Ruto extols Njoki's CV as he launches a bid for ICC seat. That's another interesting story that is not receiving a lot of prominence. I don't know why. But a Kenyan judge seeking a seat at the International Criminal Court is huge.
Yeah.
And the President, William Ruto, yesterday officially declared his support for the same.
Yes. Akienda huko ana represent Kenya.
Ni Kenya si ndio? All right. More analysis on the Africa Forward Summit. Diplomatic goof, they ask why Kenya risks isolation after French summit is another story there. Back page. Leopards claw gap on leaders Gor Mahia after disarming Ulinzi. And you'll realize there's a lot of now local football on the back pages. Hii mambo ya sijui mipira ya wazungu hatushuguliki sana. It is athletics and local league because it's actually getting towards the end, and that's the Standard.
All right. Tuangalie People Daily still talks about Gachagua on the front page. Gachagua rising, battle for Kenya's opposition, they call it, and this story has been captured on page 6. Wanasema impeached, defiant and resurgent former deputy president is reshaping the political arena ahead of the 2027 showdown. Yes, he is definitely reshaping the 2020 or the political arena ahead of next year's election. Akikohoa tu hivi mambo yanasambaratika. XDP's grip, and that story once again is on page 6. Political slogans crafted for real solutions or just attractive campaign branding is an analysis that the People Daily has captured on page 7 of this newspaper today. On page 5, they talk about no room to breathe for besieged Meru governor as Linda Mwananchi plans rally. No room to breathe for besieged Meru governor as Linda Mwananchi plans rally. Huyu pia ni kama kuna mambo kama yule mwenzake. Alikuwa anaitwa nani yule mrembo?
Kawira Mwangaza.
Kawira Mwangaza. This story is on page 5. On the top strip, the silent pact, how backroom deals overrule the ballot box. So People Daily inazungumzia politics leo, people and politics as they call themselves.
All right.
That's the People Daily.
On the People Daily, let's take a look at the Star. Quick one. MPs question why IEBC keeps buying costly poll gadgets. Commission says up to 45,352 kits require replacement. And IEBC's budget for next year's election has already gone, it's close to 80 billion shillings. People are wondering, why should it be that expensive? Kenya, it's known to have one of the most expensive electoral processes.
Yes.
They also have a story about this former Gor Mahia legend, Tigo, who died, and pictures of his final rites. Gor Mahia legend Alan Tigo. Relatives and friends carrying his body to the Hindu crematorium in Kisumu, and his final rites were performed yesterday. That story about Njoki Ndongo at State House, where the president launched his the ICC bid officially. Now, you know, once this happens, this creates the second vacancy in the Supreme Court. Judge Mohammed Ibrahim, who died, and then Warsame was appointed to that and sworn in. Now, if Njoki Ndongo leaves, that will be the second vacancy that will need replacement as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Ahead of elections. Interesting. That's the Star. Fresh, independent, different.
All right. Kabla tuangalie Business Daily, hiyo story ya Meru ni kama nimeiangalia ndani vizuri. And looks like there's a problem in Meru because same accusations that were leveled against Kawira Mwangaza, the then governor bado tena iko na huyu governor wa sahi. Anasema kwamba Peter Munya has been launching scathing attacks on the current county administration, accusing Governor Mutuma of corruption, incompetence and mismanagement of public resources.
Unajua Mutuma alikuwa deputy wa Kawira Mwangaza.
Yes.
Na akafinya and he worked with the MCAs wakatoa Kawira Mwangaza.
Yes.
Sasa yeye mwenyewe ako na.
Anasema how you get it is how you lose it. Yes. Anywho, Business Daily, Treasury hits M-Pesa and PesaPal with 16% VAT. That the Treasury is seeking to impose a 16% value-added tax on Kenya's 42 payment platforms such as PesaPal, CanSwitch, Airtel Money and M-Pesa, which could trigger an increase in user fees for money transfer services.
Hiyo pesa ni wewe tu utalipa kama mwananchi. Usifikirie ati any company will absorb any of that. Hiyo 16% au ni conduit tu wanapitisha kwa.
Ni wewe. And hawa watu wanakuanga very very bright when it comes to this. A Treasury official said that fees earned by the owners of platforms would attract VAT, arguing that the tax will not apply to consumers' mobile money transfers. This is a story on page 2. It's inakuhusu pia, so you can take a look at it. East Africa's richest man takes on Coca-Cola with 6.5 billion Kenya plant.
Tumeitaje?
Coca-Cola.
Oh.
What did I say?
Nimesikia Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Huyu anaitwa Mohamed Dewji. Is he the richest man?
I've never heard of him.
At the Tanzanian conglomerate METL Group is planning a 6.5 billion shilling soft drinks plant in Mombasa, setting up a rare regional challenge to Coca-Cola and Pepsi in Kenya's highly concentrated beverages market. And the photo we are seeing on the front page is of the group CEO, Mohamed Dewji. Whether he is the richest man, you can read more about it on page 2. On the ticker, state to buy stake in Aliko Dangote fronted oil refinery, that Kenya will buy a stake in the planned 650,000 barrel a day oil refinery fronted by Africa's richest industrialist, Aliko Dangote. Yes, tulikuwa tunazungumzia hii jana on one of the caricatures. Walikuwa nasema ni Dangote, ndio kusema akitaka pale Lamu ataichukua, popote ataitaka. What did he say? The highest what? Who calls the shots?
He who pays a piper calls the tune.
I'll see you. Kenya beats Nigeria in list of fastest growing companies in Africa. Another interesting story, and that's the Business Daily.
Quickly, let's take a look at what's headlining across the border in Uganda. Daily Monitor talks about the sacred oath immediately a day after President Yoweri Museveni was sworn in for his 7th term. Now, more than 180 legislators were also sworn in at Parliament amid pomp and a celebratory mood in a 3-day function that will end on Friday. Ni wengi, there are more than 500. So they can only swear in a number. So 180 was sworn in yesterday, wataendelea leo na wataendelea hadi kesho.
Wow.
There are like 560 MPs, including wale military representatives. So that's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor. On New Vision, they talks about government cuts admission to medical schools. Matters education back on the front page. Museveni meeting Egypt's El-Sisi. Alikuwa hapa Kenya na security wake ni wabaya sana. Waligonga paka ule president wa Burkina Faso. Wanamtoa ati atoke kando ndio El-Sisi apite. Mimi hata nilikasirika, lakini anyway, wacha sio not my place. Of course, pale chini, congratulations Yoweri Museveni. This will continue for the rest of the year. Tukivuka boda tuingie Tanzania. IMF sees stability gains, touts SMEs and job creation. This is now IMF on matters economy in Tanzania. Kenya ukikuja ujaribu kusema IMF watu kasirika sana. They've given you a break, wameenda Tanzania for now. They'll be back. All right. Gazeti la Mwananchi wanazungumzia gani? Wanasema ni kama wamepotea. Nikokosa mabaunsa kugeuzwa walinzi. Nikosa mabaunsa kugeuzwa walinzi. Yasema ni wanamitindo ikiwaonya wanaowapa kazi za ulinzi kufanya vurugu. Tukio la vurugu Kibaha kumtoa mjane la guswa. It's used by influencers and celebrities. Atuko na bodyguards wako, mabaunsa wale ambao umewaandika kazi wa kuchunge. Alafu unawatumia kama askari polisi atunaenda wakikozi vurugu kila mahali. Wameambiwa ile nikosa. Hiyo usijaribu hapa.
Tanzania.
Gazeti la Mwananchi Tanzania. Tuangazie karakacha sasa tukimalizia. We start off with the one on the Daily Nation and it talks about the impeachment process. Lakini wametumia sadfa fulani hapa. It's a comparison with the ancient Roman and Greek because they represent upper justice. Kuna wale wanaosha mikono wanasema sorry, blame the MPs. You know who said that? Pontius Pilate, when he was brought the case about Jesus, alisema mimi naosha mkono. Akaosha mkono kwanza akasema mimi sioni kosa kwa mtu huyu. Lakini nyinyi ndio mnataka mambo yake. Nyinyi mnataka ku impeached. Aya, nimewachia.
Wow.
That's a very deep comparison.
Unasoma
Daily Nation.
Biblia. Biblos. People Daily. All right. So we have two scenes here. One manifesto by the government. They're talking about roads, schools, health, economy, agriculture, stadiums, and security. But on the other hand, United Opposition manifesto is to make Kasongo a one-term president. Yeah, so United Opposition inaambiwa hao hawana manifesto.
Agenda. Hawana sera.
Hawana sera. Au ni kumake President William Ruto.
Hiyo ndo sera. All right, the cartoon on the Star is about ODM. Kuna jamaa amebeba hapa chungwa nusu. Huyu ni party leader. Amebeba chungwa nusu na pale juu kuna former chairman John Badi, who's a CS for Treasury, na dada a caricature of the sister to the party leader. Aliambiwa usilete hapa with a party where because you are the sister to the party leader you're trying to tell us what to do. Where's that baba now? Where's that baba now? Well, acha niwache hapo.
Na wote wako hapo kwa hiyo chungwa ndani.
Your statement nyingine noma.
All right, finally the one on the Standard. I think this one talks about what is currently happening in, FKF and the Chan scandal. Checking possible red card financial misconducts. VAR is checking. Courts pia iko hapo, Chan pia iko hapo. What do you make of this?
Wanasema so far service providers 2, FKF 1. VAR inataka kuangalia mzigo inaangukia upande gani. VAR usaidia saa ingine. Mimi kama supporter wa Arsenal najua VAR.
Yes. And that's the Standard.
Right, so we'll be having State of the Nation after the break, discussing matters on the front pages today. Remember, we are also focusing on the Emurua Dikirr by-election. Polling stations opened at 6 a.m. this morning and will remain open till this evening at 5 p.m. Just before we take a break to usher in our guests, let's take a look at the traffic situation in and across the major tributaries into the city center. And ni kama leo hakuna traffic sana. Vile ile Africa Forward Summit ilikwisha. Thika Road is looking good. I can see a bit of traffic at the Pangani interchange kama kawaida. On Kiambu Road, it's stretching as far back as the DCI headquarters. But on Thika Road itself, imeteremka pale Utalii Drift. By the time unafika Mathare Mental Hospital, imeshikana gagna, very heavy traffic. But this is kawaida. Further north on Thika Road, usual trouble spots pale Allsops, Garden City. Twende pale Kahawa ndani na Githurai. Pale ndo kuna kuanga na shida sana. Leo ni kama hawana shida sana. Pale ni Kasarani, looking good. Yes, you can already see that stretch of red immediately after Githurai. So if at all you have to use Thika Road, ni kama kawaida. Lakini watu wa Thika Road by the way, watu waenda kuishi Thika Road by choice. Kuna kuanga na shida huko. Twende Jogoo Road.
Thika Road kama cult.
Jogoo Road kama kawaida ni pale tu Makadara kidogo na Shauri Moyo. After that it's smooth all the way into town. Town you're getting an easy time today. Lakini ukiangalia hapa yes, Makadara mpaka pale Likoni Road Junction. A long stretch of red kama kawaida. The other place I can see a bit of traffic ni Outer Ring Road. Not Outer Ring Road, ile inaitwa Eastern Bypass. Eastern Bypass is also a problem. All the way from Utawala to the KQ headquarters, past that, pale Taj Mall. Na Taj Mall ilibomolewa lakini si bado huita hiyo mahali Taj Mall. After that, all the way to Cabanas, heavy traffic. Mombasa Road, all the way from the airport to the CBD is looking good. Waiyaki Way, the other major tributary is also looking good. Naambiwa niongelee Shauri Moyo. Hata sijui kwa nini inaitwa Shauri Moyo. Hakuna traffic. All right, that's the traffic situation.
Shauri Moyo iko wapi kwanza?
Shauri Moyo is on Jogoo Road. Anyway, remember to interact with us through our social media pages on X at TV47 Digital, on Facebook, YouTube, where we're streaming live, and on Instagram it's TV47 Kenya. Use the hashtag TV47Breakfast.
Hashtag story ni yetu. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
Mind you that Fred Indimuli, just before we take a break, let's take a look at, let's get an update from our reporter on the streets. That's Muthoni Brenda. Good morning, Muthoni. What do you have for us this morning?
A very good morning to you, Fred Indimuli and Ann Odida. And let's get you moving in this city on this Thursday morning. So the rundown in Mombasa Road, you are going to expect heavy delays from Submia Business Park all the way to the Nyayo Stadium. Police are conducting spot checks on PSVs near Bellevue Avenue. In Langata Road, you are going to expect heavily congested traffic near 1824 and the Madaraka roundabout. Traffic is moving slowly towards Upper Hill. In Thika Superhighway, traffic buildup is being reported from Roysambu interchange inbound, and there is a heavy inspection at Pangani slowing down vehicles heading to CBD. In Wayaki Way, there is moderate traffic from Westlands towards University Way, and those coming from Kiambu Road, there is slow-moving traffic from the CID headquarters as motorists avoid Thika Road. Here in CBD, we are coming to you live from the City Hallway. As you can see behind me, traffic in CBD is moving slow. There is not much build-up, and even leading into the intersections leading into town are also open. Back to you, Indimuli.
Thank you so much, Muthoni Brenda. We'll be coming back to you later on as we continue our discussions here on State of the Nation. So let's take a break now. Remember to use all the hashtags, hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Nieto.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunyuma.
Oh my God. You left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? High five?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The
cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
You won't entertain divas. No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning?
To escape from a resort.
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in East and Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers. You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mkorada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
Only
Live pictures from one of the polling stations in Emurua Dikirr. The polling stations opened at 6 a.m. this morning. The by-elections are on, looking for their new representative following the untimely death of Johanna Ngeno, who was their MP for quite a long time. Polling has started in all the 94 polling stations across the constituency. This is not the only contest. There are other contests for different wards in Samburu County and in Elgeyo Marakwet as well. So we'll be getting a live report from our reporter, Sydney Chazema, who's in Emurua Dikirr, later on as we continue with a special coverage of the by-elections in Emurua Dikirr constituency. Once again, the candidates who are vying for this position are Vincent Rotich of the DCP party, David Kipsang of UDA, Desma Cherono of PNU, Koech Gideon of NVP, and Rotich Kiprono of the RLP. These are the men and women who are contesting to become the next member of the National Assembly representing Emurua Dikirr constituency. And this is what is our main focus this morning on State of the Nation, even as we discuss other headlines, but definitely our focus is on Emurua Dikirr. Yes, indeed. This morning we are privileged to have in studio, beginning on my immediate left, Dr. Peter Mbai, who's the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. They do have a candidate in the Emurua Dikirr constituency by-election. Mwalimu Wilson Sosion joins us this morning. Mwalimu is an educationist, also a unionist, and a former member of the National Assembly. And we are also privileged to have with us this morning Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst. Gentlemen, good morning, karibuni sana.
Good morning.
And you look at the front page of the Daily Nation, and I'm sure members of the UDA party will really be shocked that DCP is getting this much prominence in a race that ideally they shouldn't. Emurua Dikirr, Dr. Peter Mbai, both the Daily Nation and the Taifa Leo. Nani atatamba leo? And the dailies appear to have focused on the DCP candidate and the UDA candidate. This level of coverage, even coming the DCP way, did you expect it, Dr. Mbai?
Thank you very much. Let me tell you, Fred, and good morning to all our viewers. The issue of Emurua Dikirr is unique. Emurua Dikirr is a special case because of the circumstances of the death of Johanna Ngeno. The people of Emurua Dikirr, to date, they have never been told exactly the details of how Johanna Ngeno died. They waited for investigations, nothing. Nobody is talking about it in government. And all what we know is that after the crash, there were no investigations, some truck came there, carried off everything. It has been kept mum. And unfortunately, the governor for Narok is a relative to the family, but nothing has happened. So the people of Emurua Dikirr believe that Johanna Ngeno's death may not, I'm using those words deliberately, may not have been very natural. And they blame the government gender for whatever may have happened. There are many theories. And they go back to say, when our son was in the opposition, he was doing very well. When there was a distance between him and President Ruto when he was a DP. But when he joined the government, it's like they were bringing him closer to do whatever may have happened again to him. So there is a perception in Emurua Dikirr that there was some hand or some circumstances that they may have caused the death of Joanna. So the vote today is a protest vote, is a revenge mission. And that's why they said, we cannot be having questions about the death of Joanna. You never told us. And then we vote for your candidate as government. And so they came to DCP saying, we want a party that cannot be bought. Listen to me. That's what they came and told us. We want a party that cannot be bought. The only party that they knew cannot be bought under any circumstance is DCP. Now, remember, Joanna has been, according to them, an opposition leader throughout. Because of the circumstances about the issue of land, Gachagua and all that, those other kind of issues that he has been fighting for. Joanna Ngeno now. This is the spirit of Joanna Ngeno. Today, Joanna Ngeno is speaking from the grave, literally. Emurua Dikirr is a spirit-driven campaign. Has been spirit-driven, even as they told us. Of course, we give them our vehicles and everything else and a few logistical and technical people. But they said, let us do this thing, us. So that it's not said, it is you who came to drive it. So I can tell you, Fred, these are spiritual things. It's a very spiritual battle today. And I can tell you the people are committed to just demonstrate one thing, that we are not with government.
Dr. Mbai, if at all you're this confident, how come your party did not conduct primaries in that constituency? It was a direct ticket. On the other hand, the UDA conducted primaries and more than 26,000 people showed up for the primaries.
Well, according to the locals, and please, I'm very careful with my words, according to the locals, the person who won is not the one who was given the ticket, according to the locals. That's another protest line. It's another protest line. Remember what happened in Baringo? And again, the person people wanted, they didn't get the vote. Finally, Gideon Moi comes, he was short-changed. Whatever other things happened, whatever he was promised was not given. So they were able to see, hey, this is what you did in Baringo. This time around, they said, oh, you have repeated the same game. We'll show you what will happen.
And this morning, we're focusing on the process because time for campaign ended.
Yeah, of course.
But UDA prospects in Emurua Dikirr, it should be noted that even Johanna Ngeno was not necessarily a UDA member. So this is also new for UDA.
I think it's good we get facts right rather than spinning uncivil raw propaganda. It is common knowledge when Johanna Ngeno died in a helicopter accident. And I think Dr. Mbai should help the police or the DCI to record a statement if he has anything new concerning his death. It is wrong to spin wrong information, particularly that relates to death of people. I'm saying so because Johanna Ngeno is a relative to me, is my uncle, and we know the circumstances in which he died. So to listen to strange allegations, I think that is misleading, it is wrong, it is immoral, it is unacceptable, to say the least. When the by-elections that are going on today offers the people of Emurua Dikirr an opportunity to democratically elect their next member of parliament from amongst those who are contesting. And we cannot twist facts of history. The late Johanna Ngeno was a member of UDA, and not just a member of UDA, a high-ranking member of UDA, who actually was the chairman of Housing Committee in the National Assembly, and engaged in a lot of social engagements outside his constituency, including mobilizing and rewarding musicians in a feat that was strongly supported by government, the president himself, and his colleagues, members of parliament. He had his space, and nobody limited him. And he wasn't playing any opposition politics. He spinned very strong social programs that were politically inclined to the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. So to try and create a negative narrative is wrong. And the people of Emurua Dikirr, as far as I know, and from the data I have, will elect a UDA member of parliament today. That's a fact. And by, I think I should have dinner with him, and we receive results.
Does it concern you that the DCP is getting this level of prominence in an area where they would typically not? Any other party, even in the larger Maasai area, probably it would be ODM. Now DCP, immediately after the by-elections and they won Narok Town,
we are in a democratic country. Fred Demule, we are not in a dictatorship. We are not in a one-party state. We are in a democratic country. And to get voters getting excited with one party or the other is not a new thing. And that is a democratic right. And nobody's against them. They are free, field your candidates, campaign your candidate. We have seen, they've done it. Nobody has touched them. And they will go cast their vote. Those who believe, there are many parties. It's not only DCP. There are many, many parties that have fronted candidates in Emurua Dikirr. And the people are free to choose from any. But of course, I've told you empirically, and I always tell you, and believe me always, the Emurua Dikirr will go with UDA.
That may be. We only have hours to wait until we know who is the winner. But
by 10, the gap will be good.
But whichever party wins, the performance of the DCP in this context will be of interest, whether their candidate wins or not. Don't you believe so, Bwana Mukua?
Well, you know, the biggest threat to our elections in Kenya is misinformation and disinformation. And you've seen the two gentlemen on my right, all of them are really beating hard for their political formations. But Dr. Mbai has introduced a bit of voodoo politics, saying that this vote is going to be guided by the spirits, so that the people who long died are the ones who are going to influence the electoral outcome. And in Africa, to win an election, that is actually what you are supposed to be doing. Because there is now evidence that the majority of people in Africa do not vote based on facts and figures. They vote on emotions, which is the reason why if you start looking at the composition of these political parties, you may want to ask yourself one question. How come DCP is majority Mount Kenya? And the newspapers, the cartoons have said that DCP has not presented a policy position on any issue. In fact, their policy position is Ruto must go, Ruto one term. They've not gone the extra mile to explain if Ruto goes, so what? Now, this morning, President Donald Trump has just landed in China, and I've seen a very solid reception. And the two presidents are talking about policies around prosperity. But if you follow the DCP campaigns, you'll not hear the word prosperity anywhere. It's Ruto must go.
Ruto must.
Now, the reason why this campaign is very critical, whether or not DCP wins, is because of the bandwagon effect. You recall how President Kenyatta came into office. There was a by-election in Murang'a and there was a by-election in Kajiado. And at that stage, people looked at former President Kenyatta and said, wait a minute, you may not have the political muscles, but he used those two by-elections to pronounce his arrival. And he told people that if you want to win in Mount Kenya, if you want to win in Maasai land and you do not join my political party, then that is political suicide. After that, everybody was beaten into one neat row. Now, that is what is likely to happen in the by-election today. And you ask a very pertinent question. How come? The conversation right now is around UDA and DCP. It's simply in Kenya, we don't have political parties, but we have powerful political personalities. It's the case that if DCP was under a gentleman called Dismas Mokua, you would not even get a feel a story. But now you've got a very powerful political personality who is actually intimidating everybody. You know, if you come from Mount Kenya and you don't support a DCP, you are branded a traitor for taking a political position. So that if you are selfish interests, because every politician has got selfish interest, if your selfish interests are not aligned to Rigathi Gachagua's selfish interest, then you are branded a traitor. In fact, somebody, a master's or a PhD student, should do a paper and find out how that thing called traitor is going to affect voter turnout. That if you take an independent position, you're going to be beaten into a pulp. The same thing happened in Rift Valley a few days ago when President Ruto spoke in his mother tongue and said to the people, you guys, why can't you go and register? If you don't register, somebody is going to move away this cake. So it means that all the politicians in Kenya, it's about their selfish interests.
Is this a trend we are seeing where DCP will now be the main challenger for your UDA party, even in areas where no other party has felt confident enough to challenge the UDA?
DCP will not be the main challenger for UDA. It's going to be Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. And I can bet my grandmother's cow that if for some reason today Rigathi Gachagua decides to shake hands with President Ruto, then DCP doesn't exist anymore. You recall, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua was a very happy man till President Kenyatta said that there is a political party called Jubilee that I want to invigorate. And he said that we are going to start from Mount Kenya. All of a sudden, you saw structured campaigns running against Dr. Matiang'i because they said Dr. Matiang'i is going to be the Jubilee's presidential candidate. Never mind that in Mount Kenya, Munya has got a political party, Kiunjuri has got a political party. In fact, the highest concentration of political parties is in Mount Kenya and Kisii. You know, in Kisii, if you want to be a politician, the first thing you do is you have your political party, and also in Mount Kenya. Now, the pronouncement that Dr. Matiang'i is coming to town, there was fury. When Matiang'i said that we are going to run Jubilee candidates, the entire of Mount Kenya, I saw DCP back in my village in Kisii, they're actually identifying candidates. And because of Kenya's ethnic composition, they stand a very high probability of getting a couple of elected leaders. DCP? In Kisii, yeah. And you know, Kisii is probably the most cosmopolitan, multicultural setup in Kenya. So they stand a chance of getting elected, not nominated, elected people in Kisii. And in my view, going forward, if we want to make progress and join, you know, when we hosted this Africa Summit, which was a big deal, if we want to sit comfortably in those meetings, we must start abandoning tribal considerations for everything we do in town.
But as we sit here today, Dr. Mbai, do you see DCP now? This is a party that's months old. It's only months old. Yeah. You're yet to even launch the party.
Yes, you're doing.
And this appears to be the party giving UDA headache in Emurua Dikirr.
Yes.
Why is that? What is this that you have that other parties don't? Why did other parties stay away from that from this by-election and not DCP?
No, it's very simple. And I don't know why people are shocked and surprised about DCP. I don't know why. Our party leader has been second in command. I mean, he had all the levers of power. He had access to all the institutions of power and all that. It's only that we agreed to cede to President Ruto when he told us we don't need to come with a party. And so we said, it's okay, you are a gentleman. We are going to take your word. So if you prove that you are a betrayer and a conman and a deceiver, we simply get a party and run against you to the end, by the way. Yeah? So I don't know why people are shocked. What were we supposed to do, by the way? Were we supposed to go and begin grazing cows and all that and maybe milking and, you know, maybe potato farmers and coffee farmers? I don't know why people don't understand. It's about power. It's about parties, everybody go there so that they can access power to help their people. That is why there is a president and a running mate so they can be able to galvanize the country. So the question is, Fred, the answer is rather, you're asking why DCP? DCP is alternative government.
Yes, but we saw your reluctance in the Mbere contest. Even in the Malava contest, we saw that you pulled out your candidate. Now we're seeing DCP coming out more and more. Olkalau, you've insisted you're going, you have a candidate despite the fact that Jubilee has. Previously, it is DCP that stepped down to allow other candidates for the United Opposition to go ahead. Now, Emurua Dikirr?
Two things. First of all, we agreed after Mbere we will never, ever, ever step down our candidates for any position in this country, from the president all the way to MCA. That's a decision we have taken as a party. Mbere was unique because the leaders, they approached us. You know, they told us, you know, because of the clans, we have agreed with the DP and, you know, the bars. One got a candidate, the other got a party. You know, it was some mixture of something. Going forward, we are saying let's go on and on because DCP is the alternative government in waiting. So nobody should be shocked. And I thank this man for saying, even in Kisii, you know, our candidate there was a very strong second in the nominations. I mean, we have somebody who from Narok who has been elected on DCP. Somebody from Western has been elected.
Is that what has buoyed you enough to go for this current context, your latest win in Narok? That it showed you that, yes, probably that region, for a new party that had not identified any region as their stronghold?
Let me tell you what is happening. There is some revolution in this country, in the minds of the people. I mean, because of all the ills by the President Ruto, people want a clear alternative. And they don't trust some parties, which could be thought of hobnobbing at night with President William Ruto. They want a party that they know. If we are leaving President Ruto, we are going to a party that we are very sure they cannot be bought. That is the essence. And it's good to remind you that it is the people of Narok who came and said we want to vie on DCP. It is the people of Western. Now, it is the people of Emurua Dikirr. And you remember, it was here, publicly, as we don't do things at night. They came to the party and they told us, you know, led by Johanna Kamilan and other, they told us, we are crying. We have a problem in Emurua Dikirr. Can you give us a ticket? It is the people. And I can tell you this as we speak here. We have hundreds of people from across Rift Valley. I mean, we didn't go for them. They are saying, but we told them, let's wait for the results. Let's wait for the results. They are coming. We are going to have more aspirants in Rift Valley and other places of this country.
So we're going to see DCP fielding candidates in other areas
I can tell you, seated here as a Secretary for Planning and Economic Affairs, we are going to field candidates in every part of this country. Anybody, and the beauty is, it is somebody who comes and says, in my area, I can win with DCP. I want DCP ticket. It's not about anything else. And so you're going to see that a lot going forward. You're going to see that a lot.
Because it's about parties here, Bwana Sosion. I'm looking at the 5 candidates in this contest. One for DCP, UDA, and the parties involved, PNU, RLP, MVP. And this region has seen other parties venture. Yohana Ngeno at some point, he was a member of KANU. ODM has also been quite strong in Masailand and areas around, because it's the same region, just probably divided by a border here and there. How come we're not seeing those parties that traditionally would have stood a better chance than a new party that's yet to be launched, like DCP, that's not even a year old?
You know, Emurua Dikirr, historically have elected Ngeno in different political parties. In 2013, they elected him on KNC, but of course in 2007, they elected him on ODM. And you know the drama around that victory and how it was overturned. And eventually, to resolve the conflict was to create the new Emurua Dikirr constituency, of which Ngeno clinched through KNC. A rare happening that nobody expected. And those who are voters, they accepted Ngeno as a person through the ticket that he came with. And in 2017, he was elected still on KANU. And in 2022, he was elected on UDA. And if you look at the operations of political parties in Rift Valley, in 2007, almost everybody was elected through Orange Democratic Movement, ODM. And to the current Emurua Dikirr elections, yes, there are up to 5 political parties. But of course...
No ODM, no KANU, that have actually tried...
No, ODM is broad-based, so the broad-based framework is UDA. That's a fact. Where UDA is fronting a candidate, ODM cannot front.
That's now zoning.
No, that's a fact.
You've already said no
zoning was done. And I said there would be technically zoning one way or the other, because you cannot expect UDA to go and field a candidate in Bondo constituency, for example, unless seriously compelled by circumstances.
And we'll come back to that.
For this one,
a live update from
where DCP, it is not about DCP. DCP is not a political party.
According to the paper, it is your biggest challenge.
A color being flashed around.
All right.
But DCP is a raw rebellion of an individual.
Allow us, we'll come back to you.
Rigathi.
Let's take a live update from Emurua Dikirr. Our reporter, Sydney Chazima, is on the ground. Good morning, Sydney. Bring us up to speed with the events so far in Emurua Dikirr. How many number of polling stations have you visited, and what's the turnout like this morning?
Well, thank you very much, Ndimuli. As you've rightly put it, a by-election right here in Emurua Dikirr constituency has kicked off, and we have been able to visit 2 polling stations spread across Kapsasian ward in Emurua Dikirr, where we've seen numbers trooping in, as my current person can just show you. You can see that there are elderly people forming queues right here at Kavolecho Primary School, ready to exercise their constitutional right and voting their next MP for this area. As we've rightly mentioned over and over, this by-election was occasioned by the demise of Johanna Ngeno, who perished in a helicopter crash right in February, and this necessitated the IEBC to make that declaration that this election will be held on Thursday, today. And what we have been able to observe in Dimuli is what we already observed in other by-elections, speaking of Kasipul, where we are seeing the youth are not turning up here, the elderly dressed in their jackets, dressed in their caps, just keeping warm, and the ladies wrapped in traditional kikois just to come and exercise their rights. So the question begs again, where is the youth going to turn up for this election? And we've also seen the IEBC gave directions that mobile phones will not be allowed inside the booth. This is just to discourage the practice of Kenyans just coming out and posting pictures of whom they voted for. I think what informed the IEBC is that probably this goes ahead to influence who people are going to vote for. So we've seen, even Chebet can just show you, just close to that door where someone is just passing, there is a notice that no mobile phones are allowed in these streams, I can say, so that to discourage the issue of maybe swaying where the voters are going to vote on social media, posting the pictures of how they've already voted. So if you can just go to this side, I can show you more of what is happening here. And remember, this is an election that has attracted several candidates, 5 of them. But mainly, I've been following through your discussion. You've been talking about UDA and DCP. And mostly, that has been the sentiment on the ground, that these are the 2 parties that are going to be hotly contesting for this by-election. And we have David Keter of UDA and Vincent Rotich of DCP. And rightly so, the discussion around here has been who is really going to carry the day. Based on the pictures that we've been getting from the ground, we saw rallies being held by Vincent Rotich, where women were putting on uhuru bags on their head with colors of DCP. Many going as far as saying, if the candidate cannot afford the party merchandise, we are going to put this on to show our support. So this just goes to tell you that the party has made some inroads in this area that is largely considered as President William Ruto's bastion. And remember, when the former MP was still alive, there were reports, and he was being touted that he is one of the front runners to lead the Kipsigis community into a form of political pact. And when that happened, we saw Rigathi Gachagua even talking about how him and Ngeno were very close. And funny enough and interestingly enough, he made that announcement of his death. And that is something that the widow of Johanna Ngeno has made reference to, saying that it was a bit strange to her for finding out about her husband's death. We don't know whether that is true or not, that she found out the husband passed away from Gachagua's announcement. So what I can also tell you is that there is a security deployment here just to make sure that is order in this polling station. And something in Dimuli as well, we had a few gunshots at night. And this is something we're able to tell you that we saw a bit of groupings from the youth around Emurua Dikirr, and that is something that the police, I think, attempted to disperse them. So that's a bit of an issue that was arising, but it was able to be sorted out. So right now, I think I'll be able to look for someone who's just voted so that they can give us their expectation and what happened really inside the booth. So in Dimuli, there is a gentleman here. Hello, how are you? Uko salama? Unaweza songa kando kidogo? Tuzungumze mawili matatu. Kwa jina unaitwa nani?
Jina mnaitwa John Kurkat.
Unaonaje kuhusu hii kura bila kutueleza nani ambaye umempigia?
Unaona hiyo nani kura unaendelea vizuri, na tena unaona watu unakuja kwa wingi, na tena unaona usalama wako mzuri.
Mimi unanionekania kama mzee ambaye ana familia yake, maybe ana vijana ambao wana umri fulani. Sijui kama una watoto nyumbani ambao pia wamefika umri wa kupiga kura, au wanajiita Gen Z ama wale youth. Wanakuja?
Naona hawa ikuchi kwa sababu sini hawa unafanya tu hiyo kazi yake kama una nini, lakini hakuna kitu yenye unakuja kufanya hapa. Unaona hii kura inaendelea vizuri. Hakuna maneno yenye unaendelea vifaya hapa. Unaona anaendelea vizuri.
Na kuondoka hapa umeamka saa ngapi maybe kufika hapa, kabla umetoka mbali gani?
Mimi hako karibu hapa, natoka tu hapa karibu tu.
Shukran sana na uwe na siku njema. Shukran sana na uwe na siku njema. Okay. All right. In Dimuli, I'll be taking it back to in studio. So we have around 92 polling stations to go and try and cover, and then we'll be getting you an update maybe later on in the bulletin at around 11. Ndimuli?
Sydney Chazimba, who's our reporter on the ground in Emurua Dikirr, bringing us up to speed with the voting process, which began as early as 6 a.m. this morning and will continue up until 5. Relatively short queues, and according to Sydney, quite a number of the young, youthful voters who would have been expected to be taking part in this voting process are nowhere to be seen. It's just the elderly and women who are there. But the day is still young. Something may still happen. And yes, a reminder of that advisory public notice by the IEBC that no one will be allowed to take photos or record videos inside the polling booths. They say photography and video recording is strictly prohibited in the polling booth. Doing so constitutes an election offence under Section 7(3)(e) of the Elections Offences Act, number 37 of 2016. And it goes on to say that the offence is punishable by a fine not exceeding 1 million shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or both. So if you are hoping to take part in the voting process in Emurua Dikirr constituency in any of the 90 polling stations, please do not go there with your mobile phone or camera or video gadget as well.
What we are hoping, Fred, is that they will enforce that, because that's what has been used in the past. Yes. I mean, we are here to learn. I was in Bere. That's what was used. People would go in, take a photo. I mean, they would go in, say they don't know how to vote. Adults, literally, somebody we can see that went to school.
Assisted voting.
Assisted voting, so they can go in there. The agent would text somebody outside to say, he has voted for us, then go get 3,000. So those are some of things that, some lessons that we picked, which we took up with IBC. So let it be very, very clear. The issue of assisted voting is a complicated process.
And the IBC has responded to that in a very long statement yesterday. It said the commission further reminds the public that voters who require assistance due to disability, illiteracy or other lawful reasons are entitled to be assisted by a person of their own choice. However, only one assistant is permitted.
That is it. Somebody would do even 100. So those are some of the things that I said. We took from Bere, and we are pushing for them to continue. I've noted two things. Fred, I don't know why people are so pressurized about young people. The young people will wake up when they don't want to wake up. They will go and vote when they want to vote. We were here with you when the first time about voter registration. The young people didn't come out. What did I say? I just said don't hurry them up. But it is so unfair to expect a young person. I spoke about that for a long time.
Gen Zs wake up at 1 p.m.
No, listen. You're also in that bandwagon. I just said, I'm on the issue of the voter registration. I said, take it to the mass. Take it to where they were. How many have registered? 2.6 million. That was a big thing.
So they will still show up.
They will show up. Kindly relax. The young people know what they want to do and how they are going to do it. But number 3, very important for your reporter there. Because I got the initial reports we got, we are still confirming them because it's still very early. But your reporter have just said there were gunshots. I want to request the police. Fred, the work of police is not to go and scatter anyone. Simply to make sure nobody interferes with the security of the other person.
But I think he clarified. Sidney said there were groupings.
But what? Let me.
And the police may have attempted to disperse them.
Which is very wrong. Because the moment you begin throwing.
And that was at night. It is not during the polling.
That's what I'm saying. But you know, we say before, during, and after elections. The people of Emurua Dikirr had decided to sleep in the polling stations. So that they are not, because there was some attempts to come and buy them out. So if they decide to go somewhere and warm some fire and wait for the morning, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just hoping. Let's just hope. Please, don't interfere. Right. Kindly, the work of government is simply to provide security.
Right. Bwana Sosion, what do you make of the insight that we've had from Sidney Chazimba?
No, I think these are further measures to ensure that there is one man, one vote process taking place at the polling station, because where other second and third parties come in to interfere is wrong, and some of the instruments being used are phone gadgets and agents, those assisting. And I think IBC has done the right thing, and it should continue streamlining its systems so that then in future, now and in future, it is a person voting with his or her own conscience in the polling booth and voting for a person of choice. So it is not because Bayan Group or anybody else went and compelled, but I think these are measures that are good. Administrative enforcement by IEBC, they've quoted the law. The election law is there, and it is important that that is done. And we've seen the general operations by IBC at Emurua Dikirr. These are very strong and focused officials from IBC, and they're doing their work independently.
Okay.
Independently, free from government interference. It can only receive support from the systems that are valid to do so, like the security. And Mbai doesn't have to raise a lot of hairs. It is only that the people of Emurua Dikirr will go, cast their vote, go home, and tallying will be done at the end of the day.
What do you make about the fact that young people have stayed away from the voting process?
No,
do you agree with Dr. Mbai that watakuja tu baadaye?
No, I think it is too early to make a conclusion on the demographics in terms of voter turnout. Always, in all polling, the young people don't turn up so early. They either they're licencing, they're doing what. You know, we come from a society where we know the young people do more work. And so it is too early to talk of the demographics, because when we see the people who are on the queue, these are mixed ages. And it is too early to make such a conclusion, and I don't think there is any credible data that would make us say the young people have not turned up. Voters have turned up, and they are of all ages, And we can see they're basically around the youth or lower middle age. So really,
I'm looking for faces of Gen Z. Inasemekana wanaamka saa 7 au tuangojewe saa 9 huko mchana.
You know, that is a fallacy of generalization.
Yes.
Because your reports has reported only from one polling station, and it's not sufficient to come to a conclusion that the young people or the Gen Z are going to give these exercises a wide berth. In my view, that conclusion should only be made towards the end of the day, when in fact there is evidence that they did not show up. And in the event, again, that they don't show up, from a different perspective, that is actually voting. That if you're a registered voter and then you don't show up to cast your ballot, it means you have no confidence in the people who have presented themselves for the election. And it also means maybe that you've got other priorities. Because right now, the priority for most of those voters would be to go and look for their daily bread. So others would say, why would I sacrifice my entire day to go and cast a ballot? And yet, these people, the moment you elect them into office, they do not deliver on wealth and employment creation opportunities. Because when you look at those people, the way they appear to be very docile, and they're well lined up, well structured, they've got faith in the democratic process. Those voters actually believe that their ballot is going to change their socioeconomic lifestyle. But guess what? Majority of the people you elect into office, as soon as they're sworn into office, they go to the National Assembly, Senate, or indeed in any elective position. Now they start using these people as a special purpose vehicle. They do not deliver. You just imagine somebody has woken up early in the morning. They've abandoned their economic activities to come and cast their ballot. But you vote people into office and they immediately start engaging in corruption, in impunity and mediocrity. So it means that your vote has no return on investment, which is very unfortunate, which is the reason why we've been saying times above number that we must vote for persons with capacity, character, and competence. If you look at the Auditor General's reports or these other accountability institutions, the resources that have been misused in the public sector, the resources that have been, we lose to corruption. The levels of impunity, mediocrity, and corruption is just shocking. And in my view, people would be justified to say, why should I actually bother to go and cast my ballot if I'm going to elect people who are not going to change my socioeconomic status?
All right. So just before we took that report from Sydney, we were talking about the parties that are taking part in this by-election. And the issue that parties which have previously been part and parcel of the electoral process there and have probably even won at some point, we're talking about KANU, talking about ODM, and nowhere to be seen. Instead, we have a new party that is months old, giving a party that is now running the country a serious challenge. What happened here?
Your question assumes that we have political parties the way it's defined by political scientists. That if you go to the UK today, you have Labour and you have the Conservatives, or you have Republicans and you have Democrats. I've told you times above number, we don't have that kind of setup in Kenya. Political parties in Kenya are as old as the political persons who have founded it. So if you want to know the age of DCP, look at the age of Rigathi Gachagua. How old is Rigathi Gachagua? That is how old DCP is. Because in the absence of Rigathi Gachagua, there's no DCP. Mbaya is loyal to Rigathi Gachagua, not DCP. People in Kenya, that is what you see which is happening in ODM. For the longest time, people said, wow, ODM is in the level of Chama Pinduzi, is in the level of ANC in South Africa. But as soon as Raila left, yes, the party has started melting away. It's become a Tower of Babel. And in fact, one has to give Mr. Mbadi, the National Treasury CS, credit for calling the House to order, telling them that you cannot wake up every single day and say that Raila told us this, Raila told us this. Raila is now more in the picture. Can you reorganize your house? You speak about KANU. I was growing up when KANU was Baba.
And Yohana Ngeno won a contest on a KANU ticket in 2017? 2017.
Yeah.
Years after the party leader probably was not as active.
Now, there would be some emotional connection to KANU. Like, for instance, if you go to some parts of my village, when you mention KANU, people remember Moi. It gives them some sort of a pleasure when they remember who the president is. But guess what? Majority of the time when people cast the ballots in Kenya, it's not about political parties. It's about the personalities behind the political party. Again, if President Ruto today decides that we don't have UDA, we are going to have another political party and call it XYZ. XYZ will become a very popular party and a force to reckon with. That is why every 5 years, every 10 years, these political parties in Kenya are like butterflies. They keep on, there's a metamorphosis. In 2007, we had a powerful political party by the name PNU, simply because of Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki was using it as a special purpose vehicle. But after his exit, PNU is
I can see them
reflection.
in this contest. It's one of the parties. The candidate is Desma Cherono, PNU. It's the other two parties, NVP, RLP, that I've not heard of before now. But I'm more concerned about these parties that are no longer there and the space that DCP is now eating into. A place like Mas Island and the bordering areas, even a bit of Bomet and other areas around there. ODM was still a strong party. ODM has had, including Bwana Sosion, who was a member of the ODM party, coming from the same region there. Now, ODM is not dead. We cannot say that it is completely annihilated. It's only months after the death of Raila Odinga. What has changed in this region, and why does DCP find it easier to make inroads to the Rift Valley using that route?
Like I said, first, I don't quite agree. These settlements from Badi are very unfortunate. You cannot come and tell us that now that Raila is not in the picture, he's no longer alive, we can move on without him. The spirit of Raila still is speaking from the grave. I can tell you, and it will speak for many years to come. The spirit of Raila is what is driving people like Sifuna and Babawino and Orengo, that faction. People who more or less understood Raila. Badi is eating already. And he cannot cope with this kind of, he cannot please William Ruto and at the same time please the spirit of Raila Odinga. So really, for me, Badi will go. We know which camp he is. And they have been told they must keep on talking about this thing, you know, trying to remove the spirit and the legacy of Raila. This too early, it's very unfortunate. And it will not work. By the way, I can tell you the truth. Where the ODM people, supporters will end up is where Raila wanted them to end up. And it is not the issue of supporting William Ruto for the election. That is what we know, and that is it. But number two, you have asked a very good question. What is happening? Fred, I'll tell you. I mean, I've been here very consistently, and I know. One of the reasons why myself, I left government, because I could tell there is a shift. We had agreed we will support President Ruto for 10 years. Without a party associated with the mountain. But then, when we saw that he has conned us, we had to simply get an alternative. Let me repeat this again. The symbol of resistance in this country is DCP. The symbol of resistance to the currently to the leadership of William Ruto. Because people want a place where we know the president is capable of buying off everyone else and every other party. Look at what happened with Baringo. People are waiting for Gideon Moi to land so that he can be endorsed and be elected. Today, where is he? So people want a symbol of literally some resistance. And that is why, please understand, DCP is not a mountain.
Okay.
It's not a mountain party.
Allow us to engage now. One of the candidates of this contest is a UDA candidate, David Kipsang. Good morning, Bwana Kipsang, and very good morning. Have you managed to cast your ballot yet? And what are your expectations in the contest today in Emurua Dikirr?
I've not even taken my breakfast, but I'm very ready to go and vote in my polling center. That is Teleme Primary School at around 9 a.m. And I'm very optimistic that I will win this seat. We have conducted our campaigns peacefully, and we are also continuing. I'm expecting our voters also to come in large numbers to vote and to vote peacefully.
All right. Bwana Kipsang, our report on the ground tells us that voter turnout is not that impressive, that the queues don't have as much of the younger population as many would have expected. Is this a concern that you share?
And not at the moment, because you know it is still too early. We expected around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. many people will have come out of their homes to come and vote.
So you're confident that the young Gen Zs registered as voters in Emurua Dikirr will show up and take part in this voting process?
Yeah, what in this by-election, those the young people, the Gen Zs were not considered in this one because we are referring to the last voting in the 2022. But those who have registered, I think they will vote.
All right. There are reports that there may have been a security incident overnight, that there were gunshots heard. And do you have clarity on what happened? And do you have any concerns in as far as security is concerned?
Yes, in fact, I raised the concerns at night with the police officers who are doing the operations. And in fact, earlier on, we had raised a point of some hotspot areas, and we had instructed them to go and oversee the security over those areas. And right now, I'm told everything is okay. They have been. We have so many security officers patrolling. Even though I was told at around 2 a.m. there was some gunshots at a place called Socket, I'm yet to confirm what was the purpose of the gunshots. But actually, people have just called. The few I've just called are conducting their voting process. They started very early in the morning to vote, and I'm sure that it will be very peaceful.
All right. Finally, the IEBC, just a day before these elections, issued a notice banning the use of mobile phones and cameras in polling stations. And there's even a notice on most of the doors into the polling stations that these gadgets will not be allowed. What is your opinion on that?
Surely, I don't know why they decided to do that because, this thing has to be transparent. I don't see the reason why they should bar us from using the phones in the polling centers. This election, we wanted to be very transparent to everybody so that everybody knows that it was free, fair, and credible.
So you do not agree necessarily with that move by the IEBC?
I don't agree. When you pass people to come and to take pictures or to carry their phones, I don't think there will be anything bad when you carry a phone to a polling center, because there will be some the results will be streamed direct to the tallying center from polling center, but there's no problem carrying a phone. Maybe they thought that the wrong information will be sent to the tallying center.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bwana David Kipsang, the UDA candidate in the Emurua Dikirr by-election, and we hope to catch up with you later on, especially after you cast your ballot. Asante sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll cast my vote at around 9 a.m.
All right.
Thank you so much.
In 2 hours' time, we should be able to catch up with you. That's David Kipsang, the UDA candidate in the Emurua Dikirr by-election. Mwalimu, not everyone supports this move by the IEBC, but you do find it necessary that they ban cameras from polling stations.
IEBC has absolute mandate to determine the manner in which the electoral processes are conducted at the polling station. And of course, to ensure that there is a principle of one man, one vote, uninterfered, I think it is necessary to clear up. Of course, the UDA candidate has alluded to interference of sending some wrong information from the polling station to the tallying centers. But I think from where I am, and in terms of administration, I've supervised elections in the union, and you would always deal with to ensure that voters are not interfered with. And I think that's what IEBC is doing. So that once you enter the polling station, it is yourself as a voter with your conscience and what you believe in, which I believe is the right thing. We've seen agents queuing outside and lobbying, persuading, buying, giving money. That, okay, once you vote, we want to see evidence that you have voted, so you photoshoot your ballot paper and send it out so that you are paid. Abuse of technology and abuse of mobile telephony can affect the election. So it must be truly, absolutely free and fair, and I support that. And I think it's good we approach elections with absolute responsibility.
All right.
And the IBC is mandated actually to do that.
Yes.
And it can put in any administrative measures.
All right. Back to Dr. Mbaye, because I remember I cut you short. We were talking about the parties and their perceived involvement, their perceived strengths following, or weaknesses rather, following the demise or exit from active politics of their leaders or founders. Do you think that is what is happening now? That because Raila Odinga is no more, probably the kind of party leader is not as involved in politics, that is why DCP has found a route in that particular area to get into Rift Valley especially?
Well, one thing I can tell you is that I have a problem. I mean, as a student, of course, of political science, I think these things sometimes are deliberate, because Raila Odinga had a chance to leave a very clear succession path when he was alive. He had a chance, but he put 3 deputy party leaders. In short, I don't want to make a decision. You guys, you sort it out. Look at where we are. I mean, that's why, sorry to say, we understand that some other hand, because of that confusion, some other hand came in and put in Dr. Oburu Odinga as a party leader, because the structure itself that was existed was not clear. That's number one. If you look at CCM, if you look at ANC, the structures are clear. To a point of ANC, the party can recall a president, because you have to submit to the party. The party is bigger than the current president. In Kenya, we need to work very hard to get to that level. We are good in many things in Africa. We are leaders in the economy, we are leaders in many things, innovation, but we are very poor on the party systems and structures. We need to get there. Where we have a party, we thought ODM would get there. But again, because of not living nice structures, that's where people have infiltrated ODM. It is going all the way. Now, you asking whether that is a gap we are causing in. Definitely, that is one of the gaps. Look at Narok. Look at Kajiado. Traditionally, an ODM zone in a big way. We are going in there because people want change. And unfortunately, after the broad-based government, many people have given up on ODM. I can tell you for sure. Actually, the only hope people still have on ODM, and it's a bit tricky because they're not sure Sifuna will last, is the issue of Sifuna. But again, they don't know whether he'll last in ODM or they'll move to the Renaissance Party movement and all that. So definitely, there's no vacuum in this world. You misbehave, you have a base, you don't treat it well, people will just move. Look at Mount Kenya. Today, the UDA called aspirants to State House. 12,000 came. Out of that, 10,000 were from Rift Valley. The hair is going to go to become a village party right away because you are misbehaving. You came in telling everybody, oh no, vie on UDA in Luo Nyanza, vie on UDA from Coast, right? Vie on UDA from Northeastern, from everywhere, so that we make one party. Please, do just mean what you are saying, because people cannot be fooled every day. You came, told us, leave all your parties. Let's be one party. And we agreed. But then, 1 year later, you're impeaching the people who helped you. So we'll tell you, remain with your village party as a president. Right. And then we will, that's it. So the same case with ODM, I can tell you. Look at Western. Western, ODM was number 10 in that direction that we won in Kisa East. Even the other one that was stolen again by the issue, by the issue people of UDA. UDA was number 10. Embakasi here. We defeated all those parties, including UDA and ODM. That is what we are saying. People are looking at 2 angles. People are looking at UDA and whatever coalition he will come up with, I can bet. Looking at the popularity decline of UDA, President Ruto will not vie on UDA. He will come up with another camouflage thing called something. That thing, people want to see that, and a faction led by the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua and his team. That is what you go to the ballot. Forget about anything else. That thing that you go to the ballot now, it will bring in the people of Sifuna. They are very bright guys. They can see there's no future in this ODM thing. So let's get ourselves here, and I can tell you today, the super alliance we are going to make will include Sifuna and anybody else singing one term. And that is what will take William Ruto home. That is, but it's good to say, Fred, 1 minute, please. It's important. You know, this mass, you're asking him about a good analysis here, and he's going to hit the personality of DCP and Rigathi Gachagua. Let me tell you this much. He said he has never had any policy statement on DCP. You wait for it. This much, I'm leading that team alongside other people in the party. I'm telling the people of UDA to be prepared. Ruto at 4 is coming in August, right? We are going to give a video of all the lies that have been given in this government since 2022. and alternative policies on all the sectors. Alternative policies we are going to launch it in August. So that as you go to the election year, we are very, very clear. This month you may have avoided deliberately to avoid what we have been talking about: health, about education, about public debt, about foreign policy, about all these kind of things. But because you wanted in a written place where it will be launched officially, we are launching that very soon. Let us get done with the Emurua Dikirr. Let us get done with Okalau in the plan, in the set of things.
And I know
you'll get to hear the echoes have been there this month.
This must, as you respond to that, because I know you're itching to respond.
Yes, I'm doing press ups.
No. Why are you inciting this month?
It is an opportunity.
You already did.
I want him to respond to that as well. Yes, for the sake.
But why are you inciting this month? Why can't you take his allow you to take his own time?
You've thrown me off balance, because my question was to you that it would appear, and listening to Dr. Mbai, that these by-elections have very little to do with the particular or the particular constituencies where they're being held. It is more about the national contest. We're talking about the leaders at the national level and them using the by-elections to gauge their popularity or otherwise for the contest in 2027. Do you think this offers any benefit to the individuals or to the voters in Emurua Dikirr?
Well, one would say that outside Emurua Dikirr, nobody knew the UDA candidate that is called Kipsang. And when he took the call, you saw his priority. He said that, why are you saying people have not woken up in the morning, haven't taken breakfast, I'm going to vote at 9 o'clock. So you can see his line of priorities. But these by-elections, as you approach the general election, are normally contests between the party leaders, the powerful political personalities. And you can go to the history of by-elections, because when President Kenyatta used the by-elections and he won, he created a bandwagon effect. And it was the fear that if you do not join TNA then, and you are in parts of Mount Kenya, you are in parts of Rift Valley, then it's a wrap. You are going nowhere. That is why it's focused on personalities. Earlier on, you were saying that ODM. Why was ODM powerful at some stage? It's because it had the face of Kenya. You recall that the Pentagon, that when majority of Kenyans looked at the composition of Pentagon, they saw somebody from their village. You recall there was a gentleman from the mountain called Nyaga. You remember there was Musalia Mudavadi. So people would actually see the face of Kenya, because what drives the politics in Kenya is ethnic politics. Is that people want to see, can I see somebody from my village? Can I see somebody from my community as the face of ODM, the Pentagon? That is why it made it very attractive. And that is the reason why Mwalimu was there, because he saw the face of Ruto in that formation. Now, the second question you pose about ODM, the reason why Mr. John Mbadi makes part of the political class in Kenya nervous is because of equity and equality in national resource allocation. For a long time, a good part of Kenya has been marginalized because they did not have their sons and daughters in the decision-making process. Right now, if you go to where I come from in Western Kenya, people are at least happy to start seeing roads. You remember a gentleman called Tom Boyer. He came up with a policy called the Session Paper number 10, that we invest resources where you're going to have the highest return on investment. That was a PR speak. What they meant is you invest resources where the current crop of political leaders come from. Right. And a few weeks ago, I dared challenge that. I can even challenge him by here, because he's saying that we need to wait till they come up with their policy positions. I'll challenge him to name for me 3 top public hospitals and their location, 3 top public schools for boys and their location, and for girls, if you want to understand what marginalization is. Okay. That is why the mention of Mbadi makes the political class nervous. And
the discussion around the CS for Treasury is something else. So we will, if we get time, we'll play that clip so that we can also get your views on the same. Let's take a short break. Of course, our focus this morning is on the contest in Emurua Dikirr. The by-election is being held today in 94 polling stations, and all our eyes are there. This is TV47 Breakfast. We'll be right back after this break.
Safaricom Chapa Dimba is back. Season 5. Bigger, louder, unstoppable. Safaricom is on the hunt for the next big footballing sensation. Register your team. Visit chapadimba.safaricom.co.ke and you too can be the next football star. Cheza kama wewe.
Ukonje kuna Wi-Fi.
Why? Wi-Fi?
So what do we call this dish again?
Yummy na flow kama maji juu ni tamu kama sali. Ayu board kuna vitu zinakuudhi usijali my bro hebu kama taka juicy juni.
Get affordable monthly TV packages from Azam TV today. From
You won't entertain divas.
I'm not dealing with a man-child.
African and international movies, sports, local and international at 8:30 p.m. on TV. Breaking news, documentaries, telenovelas, and many more. Saturday. Our monthly packages are 400 Kenyan shillings, 950
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travel.
Today on
I guess I forgot.
079
Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for lack of trying. So for the last time, I'm
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, it's such an amazing evening. And can you feel the fire right in your house? Right on Dr. Freaky tonight.
You know, when you choke, you have chosen. Done.
Are you a cheater?
Dr. Freaky hata kushika kundi.
Why would you bring somebody on the show who does not recognize my title? You are the guy.
Thank you, sir.
When are you vying for presidency? So to all the ladies who are trying to have a crush on DJ Ian and I'm sorry we are taken and not for granted.
You're funny.
Thursday, we have a date every single day. Remember hii ni TV47 mtu wangu na story ni yako, story ni yangu, story ni yetu. To all the ladies and to all the men, you can sort yourselves out.
To escape from a resort. Thursdays, 10:30 p.m.
Hey you, did you know that 77% of the population in Africa is under the age of 35? You are a 77%!
I was hoping to be one of the youngest female contenders in Uganda's history.
And you would not imagine this.
Africa is the youngest continent in the world.
Do you agree? Do you disagree?
He's changed his mind.
We're already having comments coming in. We have got your back.
Because the debate is always going to be heated.
77%. Thursdays, 10:30 p.m. on TV47.
Stay fresh, stay safe, stay linked up.
All right. Good morning once again. You're still on TV47 Breakfast with me, Fred Indimuli. Our eyes are still on Emurua Dikirr by-election, which kicked off at 6 a.m. this morning in 94 polling stations. The process will continue till 5 p.m. A reporter on the ground informs us of the turnout. Not very impressive so far, but we are informed it's still very early. Things will change. We now want to link up with an official from the DCP party who's on the ground. It's GK Malema. Bwana Malema, good morning. And what is your level of satisfaction or otherwise of the process so far going on in Emurua Dikirr?
Okay, good morning, Intimoli. This morning, the voters woke up very early in the morning. Voting is running on smoothly. But yesterday evening, the supporters of the UDA's doll line tried to attack people at night. We have 2 people in hospital. One was cut in the head, and then one was attacked with a panga. And these 2 hands were really injured, still in the hospital. We've sent our people to go and check on them. And then this morning, the Chelemei polling station belonging to the UDA's candidates stopped our agents from getting into the polling station. And I understand goons are everywhere in that polling station, and police are really heading there. And then I hopefully maybe the next 1 hour or maybe 30 minutes, everything will be sorted on the other side. And then this morning also, the stronghold of our candidate, that is DCP, there are some people who woke up at around 5:30 at 4 a.m. in the morning. They were storming people's houses, and then they were saying, Eshim rise. But I think in the morning they were nowhere. So otherwise, voting is going on smoothly on the Kapsasian ward, Ilkerin ward, Mogod ward, and then Olol Masani ward.
All right. You mentioned the fact that there were some security incidents in some of the polling stations. Have these polling stations been able to resolve this? Has the polling process begun in these polling stations?
Yeah, the voting process is still going on at Chilemei, but our agents are not there. But I think police are on their way, and maybe in the next 4 to 5 minutes they will be there. That is the Chilemei polling station where the UDA's candidate is voting there. So maybe we hope maybe in the next 30 minutes everything will be fine on the other side. But these are the areas voting is running smoothly.
All right. We talked to our reporter, Sydney, a few minutes ago, and he talked about the kind of people who have showed up to the polling stations, and he says that it's mostly the elderly people who are probably middle-aged, and that generally the younger voters are not there. Have you seen this, and do you think that probably we'll get longer queues later in the day?
Right, I think Sydney is in the stronghold of the UDS candidate, because this guy has invested in youths, in goons. Goons are everywhere. And I think if that is maybe the mistake he's making, then he has engaged these younger boys to work as security. And maybe there is a system, or maybe there is the way they have organized themselves that afterwards they'll come and vote. But youths are determined to vote and participate in this election.
All right. Thank you so much, GK Malema, speaking to us from Emurua Dikirr, where polling continues throughout the day. Thank you, Malema, and we'll come back to you probably in a short while for more updates on the continued polling. But back to our conversation, and we were talking, yes, Bwana Sosoni, you want to contribute to something there?
Oh, yes. Yeah, listening to Mbai and...
Oh, I thought you wanted to respond to some of the things Bwana Malema said. That's why I gave you the opportunity. Otherwise, allow me to go to Dr. Mbai first, then I come to you. Because we were talking about the effect or the consequence of the by-elections and what the use they are for right now. That even the voting in Olkalau that will happen in July is more about the national contest, about the parties, kujipima nguvu, and not necessarily about what the voters in Olkalau or Emurua Dikirr would want. That if you lose that contest as a party, that is a hit linked to what will happen in 2027. Yes. Do you think that's a...
No, it is true. Let me tell you, we have not recovered from the theft that we underwent in Bere politically. We may win the legal battle, right? And hopefully both Mbere and Marava will be overturned by the courts and we go back to the by-election. But that issue of losing that time, rather, that theft and all that kind of thing, it didn't augur well to our base. That's a fact. That's why for us, Olkalau is a very good opportunity to just be at level. To just go back, it's like a rematch. It's a serious rematch. To simply go and agree who owns Mount Kenya. That is political, that's a fact, and that is why I seated here.
It has nothing to do with the constituency.
No, definitely. Oh no, let me tell you two things. It has first to do with the capacity of the person to lead their people, and that's why we went for nominations. Because we don't want to allow people to come and tell us it is you who give us a candidate. We told them, we all kept off. I never went there. For the whole time, all the party officials, national officials, we never went there. We allowed them, okay, guys, okay, please. So that you don't say, we give you somebody who has no capacity to represent you in parliament, or talk about roads. Maybe I don't know the issue of electricity in Olkalau. I don't know the issues. Maybe you should know the person who understands. Capacity is number one in DCP. Number two is the issue of loyalty to the party. And number three, now the national. That's why I'm saying we have an opportunity for early match. That We want on 16th of July, whatever the president thought he made the inroads through barrier and all that, to come and show him, we left long time ago, not by saying, by action. The beauty about doing it 1 year before is a warm-up for next year, right? It's a warm-up. I can tell you today, the number of votes you saw between nomination for UDA and DCP in Okalau, that is a percentage you are going to see in 16th of July. We are living for UDA maybe 1%, 2%, maybe for people who don't understand what's happening. They will just appear and maybe vote for UDA candidate. It will be an example, a good warm-up. As a matter of fact, Fred, when we win, not if, when we win the Olkalau by-election, 70% of Mount Kenya politics will be done. We'll be just waiting for next year. Right. I can tell you that. So if you, that's how important it is.
If you compare the two contests, Emurua Dikirr today, Olkalau in July, would you say they weigh the same, that that's the kind of importance that DCP attaches
to? That is Olkalau. Let me tell you about Emurua Dikirr. When we win this Emurua Dikirr by-election, it will mean two things. We are going to have a big influx of aspirants from the entire Rift Valley. The fear will be gone. This fear that, every time people ask me, Fred, when we go to take tea, Ruto will not steal the election. That fear will be gone today. That fear will be gone through Olkalau. Now, two things will happen for Emurua Dikirr. That actually we have told the people, please don't come fast. Let's finish the by-elections. Because people have discovered, wow, you mean we can entangle ourselves from this thing of, Mutua Kwetu. You here, we have produced the president, and there's no development there. I can tell you, people are crying. A road from Kuresoi to Bomet is full of potholes. This is a road serving two communities from two counties. That is communities from Rift Valley. People don't have seen anything. So people want what it will mean Emurua Dikirr at DCP winning. And by the way, the people from Rift Valley don't hate Gachagua. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of respect because, Fred, he is a man who caused their son to be president. Let me tell you something. This is very important. There is nothing personal between the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua and the people of Rift Valley because they know the President Ruto will not have become president.
I have a question. Now that you say this one is slightly different, you talked about the pain of losing Bear.
Yes.
What would a loss in Emurua Dikirr mean to DCP?
Let me tell you. Now, let me be objective here. Even if we lose Emurua, it will be by a very small margin, but the message will be home. That a revolution is coming. That the fear is gone. People can go to another party. People can go to another party and be elected in Rift Valley. That would be the message. But it's good to clarify because that thing has been mentioned by Sosion before he talks. Fred, let me clarify something because it's good to talk. We are here to talk and we are national leaders. Let me tell you. Fred, I feel for the widow of Johanna Ngeno, and we are here, we still mourning because the loss, such sudden loss is not good, it's not easy. But I want to put it in context. Let us not mix issues. You cannot say, because Rigathi Gachagua said A, B, C, D, now Emurua Dikirr people don't vote for, and Rigathi Gachagua is not on the ballot. In Emurua Dikirr, Rigathi Gachagua was expressing the pain of many of us that something very bad, which is not ordinary, which is not natural, have happened to Johanna Ngeno. Johanna Ngeno is a national leader. He's a national leader. I'm sorry, but if anything was to happen to me, I'm a national leader. So please, Rigathi Gachagua had no intention of hurting the family of Johanna Ngeno. He was expressing what we wanted, information first. What the widow should be helping us to join the people of Emurua Dikirr who are still bitter to ask questions about who killed Johanna.
All right.
That's what is important.
But and we're not going back to that debate right now.
Don't go back to that.
We want
it's
to
not a
talk,
question of going back to that debate.
We want to talk about the use of the by-election.
Once you entertain some political comments that do not meet the threshold of moral standards, then you must allow us to speak about that.
This is the third time we'll be talking about it. I don't find it necessary.
It's not necessary.
I think we leave the family. Let us leave the family. Absolutely. And I don't think it is right for us to begin prodding people who have passed away, including even the former party leader of ODM. We are not running brands of metaphysics in politics in Kenya. science beyond human understanding that some people are speak. You see, once you die, you've gone. That's a fact.
I don't think so.
And so once you're gone,
I'm more concerned
Even
about
Jesus,
the discussion around the by-elections and their consequences.
we are trying.
I don't understand.
We are living by the spirit of Jesus.
No,
you can't
listen,
say.
this is not a Mbai show.
Dr. Mbai.
This is not a Mbai show.
Okay,
My turn.
I mean, okay.
This is not a Mbai show. If it's a Mbai show, can we really be told as such? So, Ngeno died in an accident. Story closed. We are in a by-election. And the by-election is about electing a member of parliament. It is not a popularity contest of some individuals or like what it's trying to do to really pull in the name of the president to the business of election.
Even Emurua Dikirr?
No, just listen. You can't. The president has not gone to Emurua Dikirr. He hasn't.
He has not gone to any other.
He hasn't.
Dr. Mbai.
But he has been spending money.
No. Listen, just he hasn't. And I think let's demarcate these issues. Whoever is going to be elected, whether PNU, whether will be a citizen of this country and will be elected to go and work in parliament.
But are you saying that a loss for UDA in Emurua Dikirr will mean nothing to the UDA party or to President William Ruto?
Allow me to finish my statements. You allowed him. Why do you want to force?
No, you've just said a statement that I had to question.
No. So, Mbai and team should stop posturing to look like, hey, now we have an exciting opportunity. We can have one or two people from the backyard of the president to pull down the president. The president is not part of all these by-elections. We didn't see him in Bere. We didn't see him in Malabo. We didn't see him. We've not seen him in Emurua Dikirr. So keep the name of the president out of it. Elections will be conducted. And you see, empirically, we cannot predict the outcome. But let me answer your question. UDA is not going to lose Emurua Dikirr. Fact for sure. We can have dinner today to confirm.
What about Olkalau?
No, let me talk about Emurua Dikirr. Even if DCP even attempts to get beyond 20%, so itajulikana. It will be a miracle. So stop getting excited over things that do not exist. Stop driving political perceptions. There is no DCP here. Nothing at all. There is one Rigathi Gachagua who wants.
I still haven't gotten that.
Yes.
An answer to that question.
Well, I can give
it. About
and then
what a loss in Emurua Dikirr would mean to you.
There will be no loss.
Okay.
Why do you talk about a loss?
What about a loss in Olkalau?
Olkalau is 16th of July. We are finishing with Emurua Dikirr. Then we begin working on Olkalau.
Okay. I'm still not getting an answer.
Well, I'll give you the answer in the morning. It's erroneous to say that President Ruto is not in the ballot today.
Yes.
It's erroneous to say that Rigathi Gachagua is not in the ballot today. It's erroneous to say that Peter Munya is not in the ballot today. All those political parties you've listed and their candidates, their party leaders are in the ballot. If the UDA candidate wins, President Ruto is going to congratulate him because President Ruto is the party leader. Now, there are several outcomes. In Emurua Dikirr, if UDA wins, it's nothing unusual. It's a status quo. People will say, okay, we actually knew it was their seat. But in the event that it's DCP winning, then that will be a political earthquake.
Or coming a close second?
Or even a close second, yes. It will be a political earthquake in Rift Valley. Because a win by DCP in Emurua Dikirr will be used for propaganda, and it will be a strong statement that President Ruto's grip on Rift Valley politics has become loose all over a sudden. Now, if UDA wins, then business as usual. But guess what? If DCP does not win, I can predict the response that the election was stolen. If they do not win in Olkalau, I can also predict the response, the election was stolen. Even in Bere, I mean, when DCP does not win in any election, they say the election was stolen. But if they win it was free and fair. And that reminds you of a gentleman called Mr. Donald Trump. During the last presidential elections in the US, he said, if I do not win, then this election has been compromised. But at the moment he won, he says, this is the best election we've ever had in our 250 years history. So this is all about political propaganda, because these by-elections have got a bearing for next year. And as Mbe had indicated, in the event that the DCP wins, you will see a stampede of anybody who wants to run for political office from Rift Valley going to DCP to kiss the king's ring. And there was a Freudian slip when he spoke, because he said when you're in DCP, the first thing is you have to demonstrate capacity, and then number two, you have to demonstrate your loyalty, not to the political party, but the political party leader. So you have to kiss the king's ring if you want to be in that space. But Rigathi is not alone. You even remember the late Kajwang said that the ODM at some stage needed to create a system to measure your loyalty, something to measure whether or not you are loyal to the party leader. Now, it's this kind of personality worship that brings down very strong states, because it's assumed that political parties and their leadership are loyal to Kenya's national and public interest. Guess what? All these politicians, actually every human being according to economics, they pursue their selfish interest. What if you're forced to be loyal to a political party leader whose selfish interests are not aligned to our national and public interest? That is why nations collapse. And early on we said that if Kenya has to make a progress, we have to create very powerful institutions that are loyal to the state, not to the head of state, but to the state. A good example, a few days ago, we had the Africa Forward Summit in Kenya, which in my view is very solid for Kenya for economic diplomacy and commercial diplomacy. You've got French business and corporate leaders who are looking to invest in Kenya. But because Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is not part of the proceedings, he decides to call President Macron names, and he decides to call President Ruto names. For somebody, for Mura back in Kisii, when she hears that an organization from France wants to turn around the port of Mombasa, you know, we've been losing opportunities because of the infrastructure at the port of Mombasa. When we hear that these people want to bring resources in Kenya because now we are positioning ourselves as an FDI. And what does the DCP party leader do? On the day when you have 30 presidents in Kenya, heads of states and governments in Kenya, that is when he goes to town and runs the entire thing through the mud. Even if you do not like President Ruto, but why can't you like Kenyan citizens? Because when these Frenchmen are coming to invest in Kenya, they're giving us opportunity for wealth creation, they're giving us opportunities for employment creation. Squeeze getting FDI is a big deal. And then outside DCP, I also saw some fairly intellectually mischievous arguments that because France has had a horrible relationship with West Africa, we shouldn't open the doors for them here in Kenya. Okay. But one would ask, if you had a girlfriend and you had issues with her, and I want her, what is the big deal? Maybe what you don't like is what I like. I mean, France may have had issues with the military dictators in West Africa because of maybe the bases or everything else. But this new president, Macron, has said he's going to recalibrate his relationship with East Africa. And I doubt whether Kenyans are going blind into this thing, because Kenya Kwanza says pesa mfukoni. These Frenchmen were committing euros to come to Kenya. In my view, that is something we need to celebrate, because how are you going to address this massive unemployment? But however, for us to make progress, and we have said these things times above number, and I hope Mbai will capture it in his, when they move away from one term and they give us policy briefs, that they'll capture this thing that how do we make Kenya a competitive market? The cost of production, you know, it's so disheartening that the cost of production in Egypt and Zimbabwe is much lower than Kenya. It's so disheartening. And then it's also disheartening that these two politicians are not taking advantage of the globalization of markets and production. And I'll keep on saying these examples till the cows come home. Why can't, for instance, the leadership around Nanyuki say Nanyuki is going to be the aviation hub in the entire of Africa, like Morocco has done? so that we invite all equipment aircraft to come and set base. We've been asking this question times above number. How come we do not export fish from Lake Victoria to the European Union markets? You know, these are questions that we must ask.
And you asked a question that I'd want Dr. Mbai to respond to. For a moment there, I'll allow discussion around the Africa Forward Summit. Because yes, your party leader came out openly and criticizing the guests even more than the host. And many said that that was a bit misplaced.
Thank you so much. This is very important. One, just in passing, Fred, you cannot say that the president has no interest in these by-elections. He is on record, on TV saying, these elections are important. He said with his own mouth, he spent 130 million in Bere, and he's willing to spend more because parties are important. So please, maybe you need to check the TV shots with your boss. And that 130 is a very conservative figure because he may have spent over 500 million. Of course, you cannot go on record to speak about 500 million. You must give a conservative figure. So that's number one. So he is on the ballot. That's for a fact. But number two, Dismas, I want to say this. I believe in the words of Kajwang. Loyalty, faithfulness, and fidelity to the party will be number one consideration.
To the party or party leader?
To the party. No, I never said to the party. I said to the party.
Party leader.
To the party. I stand with those words on DCP. Capacity. Me, I want to start with capacity because you can be royal, but you don't have capacity. The together is the issue. Capacity to perform the work. If I'm vying for senator, for example, in Nakuru, I must demonstrate capacity to be able to understand what a senator can do. But number two, you must be loyal to the party because it's many parties that make the national movement. So that's very, very important. But number three, to answer your question, and I will say this. Because it's important to talk. We're in this country to talk, Fred. Let me tell you. This whole issue about Africa Forward Summit is a PR exercise, a gimmick, big in terms of PR and all that grease and shallow on content. It's not the first time we have had such conferences that President Ruto has attended since 2022. Some of them here, some of them abroad, like 30 or 50. But tell me, from 2022, what has come out of it in his 5th year now? You cannot begin telling us about conferences in your 5th year when you are going home. You first of all tell us what you have done with the other conferences, with the other MOUs, with the other taxpayers' money, about 20 trillion that you have been milking from Kenyans. So we are not the people to be excited, man. We know what we know. So we are here telling Kenyans, it has ended, go back to your work. Just ignore, assume it didn't happen. Do you know why? 2 reasons. MOU is simply an intention. MOU is what when you are bored and you have been eating taxpayers' money and you have been hosting all these things and you are tired, you want to show people, because you cannot go home empty-handed, you tell the technical people, scribble something, please bring it for cameras. You know, we have been part of that process. So these ones may not. I know. These are dramas that you do behind curtains. And then you come shake hands. MOU, did you hear anywhere where the financial architecture was discussed? Did you hear anybody saying whether it's a grant or a loan or when it will happen and timelines? Did you see any deal signed? No. An MOU signals starting of negotiations. It can take 3 years. Macron is going home next year. William Ruto is going home next year. What will happen to it? Because it's not structured on anything. The deals you are talking about, who told you those are our priorities in Kenya? Who told you? Is there any study that was done to show? Number 3, how can French, let's talk here as professionals. How can French trust this government when they were conned out of the Nairobi Summit Road? You tell me. I mean, does it make sense economically? I've done political economy. Listen, you can't come con France, the 3 French firms that literally bid and won the Nairobi Summit under Uhuru Kenyatta. You come and con them out of the road, all right? Then you pay our own taxes, the money. Then you come and host the same French, come and tell we have that 8 companies. They will not invest a dime. I can tell you this. And when they invest, we come back to this show. I know some things about how these things are done.
And that's the validity of the statement by Rigathi.
That is the validity of our statement as DCP, that this was pure PR. We never dressed down anybody. We were just telling the Guterres, man, you are dining with the biggest warlord ever in Africa, recorded, right? Just to remind him, maybe he didn't know. You are dining with a warlord. We just reminding him, don't go do pressers in the States when you are dining with a guy that we are talking about. So I think Christmas, I'm clear. We don't want shows. We don't want showbiz here. What the president should be doing at Ruto at 4 in 2 months. Please come up with done things. You have spent out of money. Come with something which is done. So please
let's allow Mwalimu to also contribute to that discussion so that we come back to matters Emurua Dikirr and.
I think on the Africa Forward Summit, it was co-hosted by President Macron and President Ruto and chaired with an agenda properly laid out. And it was pre-planned. And within the Kenyan context and framework, the 11 agreements signed. And of course, trying to bring in the Mau Summit Rironi Road to look like you want to, of course, provoke bitterness from the side of France, I think is playing cheap politics.
They cannot invest anymore.
And you see the statement by Rigathi Gachagua, which was very embarrassing in the first place. In as much as a country, we've got free speech, but there are limits within the domains that we must engage in some civility, whether it's in the diplomatic circles, whether it's in the political space, and we choose also what to say when and how. That press brief was so embarrassing, to say the least, very embarrassing, and so misplaced. And it offered no alternative other than to try and tear down and portray the usual normal bitterness of a jilted person, which did not help the process. I think it was crude, to say the least. When you look at the take homes of the African Forward and engaging one of the G7 countries in depth and in details, that Africa 2063 agenda and reopening Africa as not a begging continent, but as a partner in development, as a region that can industrialize, a region that can create jobs for the youth, a region that can empower the youth, because Africa will have the most youthful continent, the youth to participate meaningfully in the global economy. Those are good things. We must think about today and the future. And agreements that do not work are always discarded. But there's a question of the optics. And a partnership that works. And by the way, these are not just optics to impress.
Yes. But
they're not optics to impress. These are pragmatic.
You mentioned the fact that Donald Trump is in China and they've had bilateral talks. And we showed this earlier. And when you talk about equal partnership, does it come off as equal partnership when one of the leaders of the probably developed countries, Japan, Russia, whichever, is summoning 30 African leaders to one forum? They used to have this in their country. This is the first time France has decided to come this way. President Ruto was one of the critics of this format of engagement, that you do not appear as equal partners when 30 African leaders are shepherded into one forum, and then a leader of the Western world is talking down at them.
Well, in my view, when you talk about equal partnerships, that again is a fallacy. You cannot have equal partnership. Like, for instance, the meeting today between the US and China, it cannot be equal partnership because one country is bigger from a military perspective, from an economic perspective, even from a population perspective. When you talk about the population of China and the US, you cannot compare. You can't compare the militaries, you can't compare the economic powers. And in my view, in international relations, every state must identify their selfish interest in every single meeting. So if we go by the conclusion made by Dr. Mbai, which in my view is anchored on erroneous premises, that the Africa Summit was a complete waste of time, if we go by that premises for a second, which would be ridiculous, we had about 5,000 delegates who were in Nairobi for maybe a week. Most of the hotels in Kenya, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, had 100% bed occupancy. If you're looking for a vehicle for hire, you couldn't get. So Assuming this thing was a failure, according to Mbai and DCP, but at least for 2 weeks, hotels that maybe would be having 20% bed occupancy had maybe 100%. So there's Mama Mboga who sold their githeri, there are people who sold their products, so they made a fortune. Then again, assuming that the meeting as co-chaired by President Macron and Ruto was a waste of time, but Kenya had an opportunity to have bilaterals. I saw the president having so many bilateral meetings with the different heads of states and governments and cabinet secretaries having meetings, even discussing the candidature of Njokindung. That one cannot be counted as a waste of time. But the Africa Summit itself, and you've stated it, the first time it's happening in an English-speaking country. In my view, that is a big deal from a diplomatic perspective. And in my view, what is happening here is a case of sour grapes. Nobody is expecting instant coffee from this thing, like the ones we are being served in the morning.
I'm still waiting for my question.
This thing is brewed coffee. Yeah, this thing is brewed coffee. So the fact that you've actually signed an MOU, that means that you are beginning the process. Now, initially you said that when President Ruto took office, and there were, I think the first meeting was, I think a meeting in the UK, where the African heads of states were placed in a bus, and he complained. He must have realized that having 30 heads of state and government coming to your country is a big deal.
So his criticism then is no longer valid?
In my view, that criticism, the only thing he wanted to raise is that we are Africans and we must be treated with a certain level of respect. Please do not place us in a bus. But for me, I'd rather look at the substance. This summit here, what does it portend for Kenya? I saw business and corporate leaders. And for me, as a Kenyan, I was very proud when I saw Dr. James Mwangi, the group managing director for Equity, in the same, to use the Gen Z language, in the same WhatsApp group with Aliko Dangote. Because, you know, for the longest time, we've not had a Kenyan sitting in the high table.
So you support this format of meetings where African leaders are summoned, because even the French Africa Summit previously was held in France, and the African heads of state had to travel there to meet Emmanuel Macron in a group, as a group. It has happened in Japan, it has happened in Russia. You support that format?
Well, for me, I'm not going to use the word summoned. I would say invited. And if I was a head of state, I would go for any single meeting, even if I'm going on a border, or I'm going on a bus, provided that meeting serves the selfish interests of Kenya. Like, for instance, you had the Egyptian president in Kenya, and you know, you saw the videos of a security man altercation. You discussed it at some stage. But Egypt consumes Kenyan tea. What are the opportunities of increasing?
We can enjoy or engage Egypt anytime on a bilateral level as equal partners. Well, it is a format I'm looking at.
Well,
the format where one country engages another, even you say even in this instance that they still have those sessions, as opposed to how Africa is engaging with France as a group.
You know, Fred, accepting reality is the beginning of wisdom.
We are not at that level.
We cannot be equal partners. Even this meeting being hosted by the G7, this gentleman called Macron knows that while the US is expected to attend, but they're not equal partners, because whatever Trump wants is what is going to be discussed. He would host. I mean, don't you remember that South Africa?
Do you agree with that?
No. Let me make the last point. Don't you remember that South Africa has been kicked out of international meetings simply because of Donald Trump? Donald Trump says that if you're going to have South Africa, I don't like their position.
And that is the level.
I'm not coming on board.
So our engagement with France is almost paternal, like, or even a big brother, that when they come here, they're coming to address this group of African leaders together, like your problems are all the same, and that's why you're coming to talk to me. Dr. Mbaye,
finally, Fred,
I'm talking about this because there are critics of that format of engagement.
You know, Fred, it appears you've read The Animal Farm. All animals are not equal. It would be erroneous for any Kenyan to imagine that Kenya and French or France were equal. It would even be erroneous even when you're having the East African community.
We still have our heads of states visiting those countries and engaging at the same level.
This is a very wrong format. It's slavery in the modern world. It's neocolonialism. It's not necessary. It's a waste of time. This president should have done something. Let me be very clear, because I like to be fair. If it was some domestic tourism, some visits, you know, the way people travel to Dubai every year, you know, 20 million visitors. There's no harm in people traveling to Kenya and filling the hotels. But don't come and camouflage that as trade diplomacy and coming here to get some amount of gains from France. It will not, does not mix the two issues. I don't mind people traveling. Even me, I'm a domestic tourist. I move on and, you know, with my family and people and move around. And I encourage that in Nakuru, people to travel. But don't come summon that heads of state and government. Because of who? Because of your what? This issue of neocolonialism is still with us here. That's what France has used in Western Africa until they discovered it's hot air. They don't have that capacity. Even them, they have problems in their own whatever. This kind of, look, I like what CNN interviewed the Zambian president, right? I think when he was walking away. And he was saying, I've just come from a session.
I think it was a Ghanaian president.
Ghanaian or Zambia? Ghanaian, yes. And they were discussing this some terminologies they use. Architecture of financing, whatever, all the kind of things, right? This must know these things. That's why he's having. These mass people, they use those terminologies to confuse you. So when you hear that Kenyans are like, wow, those multi-sectoral layers of architecture, financing, they get lost. Let me tell you in a nutshell way, because I'm a political communicator, what that means. He was asked. Then he said, we were there to discuss. Then he was asked a question. But you have been talking about this thing for a long time. Then he went to the same line, diplomacy. This was also was this much like using diplomacy and all that. Then he went saying, yes, we have now to move from the talk to action.
They've been talking all this time.
I have sat in meetings since 2022, high-level meetings, in Africa and abroad, where the same talk has been. President has been very keen on talking about what? Changing the credit architecture, how those countries should relate to Africa, about debt, you remember? About financing, how we should be treated nicely because we are third world countries, how we should not be able, the way the rate of interest. He's been talking about PAPs, the same common denominator in payment system in Africa, about moving the infrastructure and railways and roads across Africa.
Security Council.
It is now 4 years. Actually, in August, it would be 5 years. Later, nothing. Fred, nothing. Those are just some things, and I can bet, I don't know. But it's good to say I don't know because I'm not sure. But my thinking is, it's not French that wanted to come to Kenya. This is a work of President Ruto because he loves PR and he likes showing us, to bobos us, that he is known in the world and he can call a presidency in Kenya. I don't think it's France, because France have not recovered from the loss they got from the London Summit Road. So I can tell you that because we have been in this space. Let me tell you, we got that 4 trade ministers from Africa to Kenya 2 years ago, you know, during the AFCFTA conference. Okay? Tell us what happened after that. Don't come and bring another round of issues. Remember, we pushed that when we moved to African countries, right? Helping them to sign the AFCFTA, how they trade in Africa. Those are things that we had tried doing. Something practical that today you can say we have a free trade area in Africa. Don't come and tell us about financial architecture. The question we are asking, what came to mind when I read that clip about the president of Ghana was, excuse me, Mr. President, can you tell us, before you begin going back to bow down before France and China and America, what have you done with the taxes that you have collected from Ghanaians? Can you account for it? The question is no. Many African presidents come to power. The first thing is to grab, is to root. And then you go begging. It doesn't make sense this much.
No, but out of curiosity, I'd like to know, does DCP have a foreign affairs policy or a policy on globalization of markets and protection?
I want to get to Mwalimu Sosion's view on this, about the format of engagement. And it's not about the deals that were signed or not signed, because Kenya still has an opportunity to visit France and have bilateral talks with France directly without being grouped in one ship with other 30 African countries.
It would be wrong for you or for the media to coin an attitude that does not promote these bilateral meetings.
It is President Ruto himself that criticized the format after he became president. He said he does not see the sense where African leaders are summoned by one leader in Japan or China.
You asked me a question, let me answer you. All these meetings are bilaterals, and the presidents are invited. And it's a matter of choice. And President William Ruto said, let us engage as equals. Let us engage as equals in all these formats, in all these meetings. And we've seen different meetings between the G7 members and Africa. China is investing in Africa, and it has done extremely well. It has penetrated the African economies in a matter that would look, and in a format that would look like Africa and China are operating as equals.
As a
and
continent,
now,
not
as equals.
Not as countries, Africa as a continent.
Yes, Africa as a continent and as countries with China. These are economic relations and economic bilaterals. And the West, the economies from the West, have always been dealing with Africa from the donor perspective. And that's what the president is saying. Let us move out of the donorship. Let us mobilize our own resources. We all pay to these financing institutions. Let us engage as equals. We want to do our things differently, change the financial architecture so that you also give us opportunities to operate within this space with fairness. That is the right thing to ask. And therefore, the format of these meetings, if Russia decide to engage with African meetings and they so choose to hold a meeting in Cairo, Egypt with African governments, the African governments or presidents will be head of delegations with their ministers and the rest will choose to attend or not. And they will, and when they choose to attend, they are not lectured. They're not on the receiving end. These are forums for engagement. Those of us who have engaged in international forums, you cannot sit back with kiburi at home and with an ego of not being lectured and whatnot, and you avoid forums of advancing programs together. This is a new global world economy where you must assert yourself and assert your presence.
So the theory of equal partnership does not exist in this.
The equal partnership.
The equality that Africa has is as a continent, not as a single country.
No, in all negotiations, parties will struggle to ensure that the table is fair. In all negotiations, whether it's government to government, whether it's region to region, a superpower to a region, you struggle for fairness. It is a process. Yes, you struggle.Enya is a strategic economic hub, logistical hub.
Confirmation I was
it has opportunities. So what Mbaye is trying to argue about,
here, and the superpower.
Of course, we are not. We are not equal economically. Somebody was comparing France with Kenya. That the area of France is almost the same with Kenya, 585,000 miles. The population of France with Kenya is almost the same, 60 million. But of course, technologically,
they are better than us.
You know,
can I ask a question?
I'm not like in the energy sector, across the world, the French have been instrumental in establishing nuclear programs and nuclear power plants across the world. They have that technology. They do the Boeing, the aviation we were talking about. Not Boeing, but Airbus. Yeah.
All right.
So that is a reality. And for us to advance ourselves, we must partner.
Let's go back
and
to
we partner as equals and partner through bilaterals.
And I'd asked for
going forward.
I'd asked for permission to discuss. I had asked for permission to discuss Africa Summit, but remember, our main discussion is about the by-elections. So for now, we do have an update. Allow me, Dr. Mbaye, will come.
Are these grants or loans?
UDA party is currently issuing a certificate to its candidate for the All Kalau by-election. They held their primaries at the weekend. DCP also did, and will be informing us whether or not the candidate has a certificate. Let's listen in as the Secretary General hands over this certificate.
Recognize a few people before Anthony says anything. Anthony leads the National Elections Board, which has conducted a significant number of elections in the most free, fair and transparent manner. We have my brother, Dr. Adrian Kamotho, who leads the Electoral Dispute and Resolution Committee, who is here. We have one of our directors there, Sam Wangi, who is head of our logistics in the party. And we have other leaders who I will acknowledge later as we progress. We have Murithi, a nominated MCA, and I think those must be colleagues in the nominated MCA. We have a group here. We have other candidates who are here who will also be given an opportunity to speak. But we have Director Grace Gishovi, who is our head of membership, and many other people. Antonella Kakuko, who works with you closely, our manager digital platforms in the party, and others who I think all over. We have Nathaniel Mungare, our Director of Communications, who's also here. So, Mr. Moura, please.
Asante sana Bwana SG. Karibuni sana members of the whole state in this unveiling of our candidate Samuel Mushina. And Bwana Mushina, congratulations for clinching the ticket of UDA after that duel, and all the other candidates who accepted and who have accepted to support Bwana Mushina. Our nominations, the members of the first state knows, are usually very free and fair. In fact, I was a little bit sad to see a caption in the Daily Nation, our SG, the day before yesterday, saying that we delivered our gadgets one day after nomination. That was very responsible of the Daily Nation. And we are here to verify any information. I hope SG saw that caption the day before yesterday, that we delivered our gadgets one day after the nominations. We were able to announce our results 12 hours after the nominations. Anyway, members of the whole state, we must be truthful to one another. We have really cooperated. We have really worked very well. You are here to support our democracy, and it is always good to be seriously responsible. So, welcome our candidates. I know the job you are having is a big job because we must clinch these seats. Since we started doing these by-elections, we have clinched almost all the seats. Almost 98% of the seats which have been available, we have clinched them. And candidate, I wish you the best. And the people of Nyandarua, this is your campaign, which you must do, and you must get it right. The way we did in Berry North, the way you have done in all the other areas, we must clinch that seats. To us, it is not a matter of life and death, but it is a matter of satisfying our constituents that this government, the UDA government, knows what is doing. The broad-based government is Leo on track. So we must, without much ado, Bwana SG, Bwana Kamodo, can you confirm, is there any appeal?
Let's Kamodo also come.
Kamodo.
Just come another.
So that we can be able to resend the certificate to our candidate, knowing that there is nobody who is contesting.
Harambe. Harambe. Sisi ni watu wa chama. Kwani mko na wasiwasi gani? Harambe. UDA. Harambe. UDA. Asante sana, Honorable SG. Ni two term. Yeah. So it gives me pressure this morning to join with our chief guest, who is our candidate, and all other members of the party, including the contestants for the position of Member National Assembly, Ol Kalau, who participated and enriched the process and made it what it became. Now, as a party, we have different layers of structures and organs. I chair the Party Electoral Disputes Resolution Committee, and that is to say, if an issue arises relating to the nomination exercise, there is a mechanism for redress for any party who would feel aggrieved or dissatisfied with the process. It is in that regard that we had received a complaint. We had initially received a complaint from one of our members who participated in the nominations, George Wambugu Delight, that complaint has been conclusively processed, and we did make a final decision on that complaint. And as it is now, I am glad to confirm that there is no matter that is pending adjudication before the Party Dispute Resolution Committee. And that being the case, the National Elections Board can now proceed without fear or favor to grant the nomination certificate to the person who has been duly found to have won the nominations. I thank you.
Thanks so much, Bwana Kamodo. Then we can clear to all and sundry that we have got a candidate by the name Samuel Mushina. And Bwana Mushina, congratulations for winning. But though that was the smallest bit, hard work starts from today. But I know that you are equal to the task. So, Bwana Mushina, we wish you the best as a party, as a National Election Board, and we are going to do everything as it pertains to your win and the SG. Now you have got the candidate, we have given you the candidate, and you know what you must do. The candidates must win. So, karibu sana Bwana SG.
Good morning all. So I am here to present the nomination certificate. This is to certify that Mr. Samuel Muchina Nyaga has been duly nominated by United Democratic Alliance to contest as the candidate for member of National Assembly for Olkalau constituency, Nyandarua County, for July 16, 2026 by-elections. And I hereby invite Samuel Muchina Nyaga.
Na nyinyi watu wengine mnakuja. Watu yako wako bibi. Where's Mrs. Mushina? Tafadhali. Njoo tu. Mrs. Mushina. Kuja hapa. Madam, moja Mrs. Mushina kuja hapa. Mrs. Mushina. Mushina, nataka kuongea kidogo, kuja useme kitu. Leta hiyo certificate na kushikia.
Asante.
All right, Samuel Mushina Nyaga handed the certificate, the UDA certificate, as candidate for the Olkalau by-election coming up on July 16th. And remember, today we're focusing on Emurua Dikirr, but because of this time for us to focus on a bit of Olkalau by-election, let's listen into what the candidate for the UDA party has to say.
Kwanza nitachukua fursa hii kwanza kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutupa nafasi hii ili tuweze kukongamana katika kikao hiki katika hii siku muhimu katika maisha yangu wakati ninakuwa unveiled as the UDA candidate to contest for the member of parliament of Olkalau. Kwanza nitachukua fursa hii niweze kushukuru chama kwa kunipatia fursa ya kuweza kushirikiana pamoja ili niweze kuwa candidate wa chama cha UDA katika by-election ya Olkalau. Ya pili, ningetaka kuchukua fursa hii kuweza kushukuru wananchi wote wa Olkarau ambao wamejukumika na kunipatia fursa ya kuweza kuwa mmoja ambao watapigania kiti cha ubunge cha Olkarau. Jambo la tatu ambalo ningetaka kusema, ningetaka kushukuru sana wale ambao tulikuwa katika kinyang'anyiro hichi pamoja na wao ambao wamejiunga pamoja nami siku ya leo ili kuonyesha kwamba sisi wote tuko katika timu moja, timu ya UDA, ili tuweze kuona ya kwamba kama chama cha UDA ushindi utakuwa ni wetu. Jambo la nne ambalo niko nalo, ningetaka kuchukua fursa hii kwa niaba ya wananchi wote wa Olkarau niwaambia kwamba siku ya leo tuko na furaha sana na tukua tumesimama hapa. Tunasimamia progress ya Olkarau constituency na ndio sababu tukajitoa ili tuweze kufanya yale ambao wananchi wa Olkarau itawafaidi. Kwa hivyo sisi tukiwa tumesimama hapa nikiwa na timu hii ambao tulikuwa tunashindana na wao, we were standing and we were contesting for progress for the people of Olkarau. Kwa hivyo niseme ya kwamba kati ya yale ambayo sisi tungetaka kushindana naye ni ile ambaye itaelekeza Olkarau katika mipango ya maendeleo mbele. Na sisi tunasema ya kwamba hii timu ambayo mnaona hapa, hata wakati tulikuwa tunashindana, sisi tulisema ya kwamba hatutashindana kwa matusi. Sisi tulisema hatutashindana kwa maneno ya mdomo. Sisi tulisema ya kwamba tutashindana kwa sera ambazo zitafaidi mwananchi wa Olkarau. Na ndio unatuona tukiwa tumesimama hapa tukiwa wote, kwa sababu our main agenda was the progress and development agenda for the people of Olkarau. And that is where we are standing. Na ningetaka kusema kwa wananchi wa Olkarau ya kwamba this government is our government na sisi ndio tulioichagua na bado haijamaliza kutufanyia kazi. Kwa hivyo ndio sababu tukaamua ya kwamba tutasimama na serikali ili wananchi wa Olkarau waweze kupata maendeleo. Na siku ya leo tukiwa tumesimama hapa na hii timu, tunasema ya kwamba sisi ni timu UDA na ajenda yetu kwa watu wa Olkarau ni maendeleo. Kwa hivyo tutashikana zote kwa pamoja tuweze kutembea katika maofisi za serikali. Kwanza tumalize ile miradi yote ambayo aliyekuwa mheshimiwa wa Olkarau alikuwa anaendeleza. La pili, tuweze kufanya bargain kwa niaba ya wananchi wa Olkarau, kwa sababu tunajua huwa tunachagua serikali ili iweze kutupatia maendeleo, na kwa sababu sisi ndio tulichagua hii serikali ya UDA, hilo ndilo jambo ambalo tunashikilia na tunaambia wananchi wetu ya kwamba kila wakati haiwezi kuwa ni wakati wa siasa. Wakati wa siasa ikifika, sisi tutaungana na wale wananchi wengine wa Kenya mzima kuweza kuona ya kwamba pia sisi tutajitosa katika ule ulingo wa kisiasa wakati ukifika. Lakini kwa wakati huu uchaguzi ulioko ni uchaguzi wa Olkarau, na sisi haja yetu kama wananchi wa Olkarau ni kuona ya kwamba wananchi wetu wameweza kufaidika kama wale wananchi wengine wa taifa letu la Kenya eneo lile lingine lote. Kwa hivyo sisi pamoja na viongozi wetu tutashikana mkono tuone ya kwamba tumefanya bargain kwa serikali, mabarabara zetu ziweze kujengwa. Tutafanya bargain kwa serikali tuweze kuletewa maji. Tutafanya bargain kwa serikali ili watoto ambao wanahitaji bursaries na zile mipangilio zingine zote tuone ya kwamba kabla tufikie uchaguzi huo mwingine tutaweza kuafikia malengo yetu na matakwa ambayo tulikuwa tunayo wakati tulikuwa tunachaguana uchaguzi wa mwaka wa 2022. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema Mungu awabariki sana wananchi wote, na wananchi wa Olkarau kazi ndiyo imeanza. Nitakuja katika kila kijiji, nitakuja katika kila boma, nitakuja katika kila town kuona ya kwamba sisi wote tumeshikana pamoja na ushindi huu utakuwa ni wetu wananchi wa Olkarau. Lakini la mwisho ningeomba we maintain peace because after this election.
That's Samuel Mushina Nyaga, who's just been unveiled as a UDA candidate for the Olkarau by-elections, which are coming up on July 16th. Yes, that's the other by-election that is much talked about, but today the focus is on Emurua Dikirr, where 5 candidates are contesting for that seat And this is following the death of Johanna Ngeno, who was an MP there. Once again, the candidates in Emurua Dikirr by-election are Vincent Rotich of DCP, David Kipsang of UDA, who we spoke to earlier today, Desma Chirono of PNU, Koech Gideon of NVP, and Rotich Kiprono of RLP. We'll continue giving you updates throughout the day on the goings-on in Emurua Dikirr. Right now, I'm still in studio with my panelists. I'd like to give them an opportunity, 2 minutes each for your final words. You may want to address the issue in Ol Kalou as well, because, for example, Dr. Mbaye, we do understand that now there's a new context between Jubilee and DCP. It was to be a contest between DCP and UDA. Now, Jubilee has thrown the span in the works. As you make your final comments, what do we expect in Ol Kalou?
Thanks so much. We unveiled our candidate on Wednesday. That's when we presented our the nomination certificate to Makamau Ngodho, who is our candidate in Ol Kalou. We are very good people in United Opposition. We agreed that every party field its candidates, the ones who want to field their candidates. I think Jubilee have a candidate, I think. Other parties are going to field their candidates. So that we agreed this year in the United Opposition is for the year for each party to test its strength in wherever part of the country they are, before we come back next year to begin having a lineup of, we don't want to interfere a lot, unless where parties agree to cede each other ground, depending on the strength. We don't expect us to go fielding governors, MPs in Ukambani, for example. We respect there is a dominant party there, and it's our partner. So that is the spirit. That spirit should be that way. You don't expect us to go field candidates, for example, somewhere else. We are going to be discussing these things and see how it goes. So we have agreed every party to field their candidates in just like Emurua Dikirr. I mean, there are parties there within our team who have fielded candidates, like it happened in Narok. Jubilee had a candidate also in Narok. And we won. So let's put on in that spirit of brotherhood. That's the way to go. So Ol Kalou, we are set. It's all systems to go. We are very confident. I'm appealing to the people of Kalou. Please, our hopes are on you in terms of setting up the pace for next year. And so we hope that all will be well. That's something very important. But I just want to, this much as we go on to think about out of the entire for African Forward, nobody spoke about, we saw figures being splashed. Nobody spoke about where the money is coming from, in which form. Is it a grant? Is it a loan? What are the terms? How are Kenyans benefiting? These are the questions we have been asking. These major projects we see around here, the idea of the government and the head of state is to start so many projects, then come and tell people, look here, when you re-elect me, then I will finish the projects. We don't need all that. We just need simple arithmetics. We are going to audit all these mega projects when we get government next year, because the Kenyans don't have value for money.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mbaye.
And hot on his comments, you see, ignorance is a problem, a very big problem. And when the president said, we come to the table as equal partners, and we also come with our resources. These are programs that are conducted outside the normal national budget and taxation program. They are within the business space, and so the French will be investing within our project programs, and our programs will be done. Our ports will be expanded. Our energy sector will be expanded. Kenya requires 10,000 megawatts for us to drive manufacturing and create jobs, but we have 2,300 megawatts. And so the nuclear power plant is going to create a lot of opportunities for manufacturing and investing, and that the country is not going to walk back. This wide range of infrastructure which must be done within 10 years, within unique frameworks, will be done and will be concluded. So I think you need to go back to class, you need to go back and take time to understand. Then on Ol Kalou, you have seen it, all systems go for UDA. And how UDA is conducting all these, the approach to the by-elections is that it has to be so organic that it doesn't even involve the president and the president. So that then the party structures has to work, and the party structures will be present in Ol Kalou. And let me shock Mbaye and his team. UDA will still win Ol Kalou. You wait. Today we are winning.
All right.
We are winning Emurua Dikirr. And it will win Olkalau because of persuasion and how we will approach the electorate. And it is the electorate who will decide. That is a type of brand of politics
so much,
that would like to run in a political party. So organic, make believe, and convincing to the voters.
I'll take 45 seconds.
Yes, please.
In my view, if we want to make a difference in Kenya next year, we need to have all elders, respected people in every county, come up with a matrix of vetting everybody who wants to run for political office. And it matters not whether it's UDA, DCP, ODM. These candidates who are going to be vetted must have the 3 C's: capacity, competence, and character. So using county-based system, then you identify people who can actually speak for the community, so that when they go to Nairobi, it matters not the political party. Part of the reason why we're having challenges today, even at the National Assembly and Senate, is that majority of the guys who go there are products of a wave, but they cannot interact with the budgets, they cannot interact with anything. That's number one. Number two, I'm very excited that Dr. Mbaya said that his party is going to produce a policy on foreign affairs and globalization of markets and production, so that we establish whether or not is party leaders' criticism of this summit is a case of sour grapes, and we must encourage every Kenyan, first of all, to be Kenyan, when you're looking at international issues.
All right. Thank you so much. Dismas Mukua, political risk analyst, Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, who is a renowned educationist, unionist, and former member of the National Assembly. Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. Today, the focus has been on the ongoing by-election in the Emurua Dikirr constituency following the death of Johanna Ngeno, who was a member of the National Assembly there. 5 candidates in total contesting for this. Once again, Vincent Rotich of DCP, David Kipsang of UDA, Desma Chiron of PNU, Koech Gideon NVP, and Rotich Kiprono of RLP Party. Polling stations opened at 6 a.m. this morning and will be closed at 5 p.m. and we'll be getting the results after that. After the break, we talk matters health, dental health in pregnancy and early childhood. Dr. PJ Muriuki, who's a chief dentist in Nairobi County, will be talking to Ann Odida on that. And we'll continue with our coverage of the Emurua Dikirr constituency by-election, and we'll be bringing you updates throughout the day. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.